Bang Chan failed to debut twice. Now he's selling out stadiums and breaking music industry records with a group he formed himself. But how did he get to that point? In 2010, JYP Global held an audition in Sydney, where he's actually from, and he passed that when he was only 13 years old. Following that, he moved out to Seoul and joined JYPE as a trainee on April 11, 2011. And this is kind of where he began to refine his vocals, as well as learn how to dance right or rap, and kind of understand what idol life really is like and what JYP Entertainment is looking for. And this kind of became his life for 7 years. He was a trainee for quite a long time compared to other members of Stray Kids. But even though it was hard at times, he tried his best to push through it. His main driver during this time was he wished to entertain people and impress them. That was kind of why he wanted to be an idol so much. He was able to let that flow through and kind of perform for other people and let them enjoy what he also enjoys. He tends to think of others before himself. So even when something is hard for him to accomplish, if that end goal is something that someone else will benefit from, then he's fine getting through it. He's okay with it being hard. He's fine with putting up with it for a little bit of time if it means it will be rewarding to someone else. He actually held this dream of performing for others very close to himself. However, it wasn't always easy for him necessarily. In 2014, GOT7, one of JYP Entertainment's groups, actually debuted, though I don't think they're with them anymore, but that was a group that he knew the members of, and to see them going away and him not a part of it was a huge toll on him. They were older than him, but he connected with Bam Bam, someone who was about his age. And when Bam Bam left, he probably felt like he should have been there, even though chances are 2014, he probably didn't have the skills for it necessarily. But at that time, what was he, 16? He probably felt like he was excluded from it. He really wasn't ready, and it disappointed him a lot. The people they had grown close to had progressed without him, and it really stung for him. However, he had to press through. He wanted to get to that goal and he had to keep pushing at it. Even if it sucked for him, there were still people out there that he could please, even if it necessarily wasn't with GOT7. This is why he kind of stuck close to the people he still had, like Young K, one of his actual neighbors, while he was living in South Korea. I don't know a ton about where he lived or how he lived. I think, my theory, I don't know for sure, but my guess is he probably had family in South Korea that he lived with for a little bit, and then he kind of switched over to a dorm for JYP Entertainment, and that's how he became neighbors with Young K, but it doesn't matter. He might not have made it into GOT7 necessarily, but at least he still had people like Young K with him that he could depend on or kind of work through the training years with them. On average, a K-pop idol will train for about 2 to 4 years, and Bang Chan was training for 4 years at this point, so he should be debuting, right? Well, maybe not exactly. Training periods are about more than understanding skills involved, like dancing or singing or rapping. It's also kind of about understanding what idol life is really like and kind of being ready and trying to push yourself to be ready for how ambitious and how fast that is and how challenging. You have to be able to dance and sing or rap to be able to be a K-pop idol. However, JYPE wants success, so they're gonna want their idols to be as ready as possible. Realistically, they're a company. They can't debut a group that can only do things the rest of the industry can already do. It's not that impressive if someone can just sing and dance already, because there's already thousands of people out there that can do that just fine. This is why a majority of trainee time isn't actually about learning skills, but actually about pushing the trainees to their limits. JYPE is trying to kind of weed out the ones that might not necessarily be ready for that idol life and for that very aggressive career. Because after all, idol life is incredibly busy, and if you can't handle it, you're gonna end up being a hindrance to the group. And that cannot be happening when you're trying to go during this time. And so I think JYPE was actually trying to test Chan during this time. They were trying to push him as far as they could. And I mean, I certainly can't talk on this 100%, but it seemed like the company had big plans for him and they wanted to see if he could live up to them, because at this point, I mean, we don't see a ton of him during these earlier years, so it's hard to say for sure where his skills were at to be like, oh, well, he was already super good at this time, he should have debuted, and they were just holding off on him. But we also see during the survival show that he maybe was just kind of okay and kind of figuring it out still. But throughout all this, Bangshan continued to press through, remembering it'll all be worth it when he's able to just please the people around him. At this time of his life, he was sacrificing a lot. He was sacrificing a lot of his childhood just to further himself in his career, and at the time, he really didn't understand what he was doing. He actually mentions that later in his life, that looking back, he had no idea what he was giving up to be an idol. And for a lot of people, they're not going to be able to do that. So the fact he was able to press through, even though he maybe didn't know it was a sacrifice, he was clearly struggling at times. He was having issues. And to be able to stick to your one goal and get through it is incredibly impressive. I don't know how he does that. Then came around 2015. Day 6 debuted, and Young K debuted with them. All while Bangshan was left behind again. He thought he should have debuted with them. He's been here for over 4 years now after all. Why didn't he debut? Every time Bangshan made friends, they either were eliminated or debuted without him. He felt stuck. Everyone else was moving along and he was stuck in one spot. We're not told exactly when this happens, but one time while he was a trainee, everyone around him just gets cut, and he's the only one left there. And I'm pretty sure it's not going to be like absolutely every trainee, but like in his little group. So the people he was closest to were just cut, and he was the only one left. He initially calls it a depressive phase in his life before retracting it kind of immediately, and he constantly thought why it was them that was cut and not him. What was it about him that was so interesting, or surprisingly not interesting enough to not be able to debut? So he was constantly stuck in this back and forth where he was either not good enough to debut or too good to be eliminated, and he was stuck in that spot. And this was kind of his life for a while, where he didn't want to get close to new people in the fear that they'll debut without him or be eliminated again. He kind of went narrow vision on his goal and tried to stay very serious about it. We hear about like other trainees in Stray Kids or other members in Stray Kids kind of seeing him for the first time and just getting this very cold energy coming from him. So people really didn't approach him that often. While he was a trainee though, Bangshan was writing his own songs to try and expand on his skills. Again, I'm not really sure the exact specifics behind why he was so focused in on writing, but I kind of assume he was feeling desperate at this point, trying to take up even more skills and make himself look more appealing to the company so that he could debut one day, because clearly it's not working with what he has right now. In 2016, he took a MIDI class at JYP Entertainment. This is actually where he met Changbin and Jisung. They had similar ambitions to Chan, making music of their own, so he tried to make friends again, even if it might be an issue down the road. The three of them formed a rap unit, and then Bangshan continued to write songs and then release them with this unit. They wrote songs and put them on SoundCloud or YouTube in 2017, all while Bangshan and the other members pursued debuting. And on July 2nd, Bangshan actually performed live with 3RACHA at the Ugly Junction for the very first time. Even though he was struggling to debut, he would find a way to impress people, even if it's not his perfect dream. I'm not sure exactly when this happened necessarily, but JYP Entertainment actually approached Bangshan and talked to him about creating a new group, one that he would lead and form the members of. Bangshan was actually the one that came up with the group's name and logo. That Stray Kids name and Stray Kids text, that's completely him. And so he picked 8 other trainees that he would go along with. He also formed them under kind of a temporary name. I'm assuming this is what JYP Entertainment described them as. Boys Project Team. It's not Stray Kids, but they performed at JYP's 2017 trainee showcase and fought to be the next group to debut. It could either be the Boys Project Team or the Girls Project Team, and JYP decided on the Boys Project Team, the one Bangshan had put together. However, even though they passed, not every trainee was guaranteed to debut. These were people that Bangshan had selected personally, so the thought alone was completely devastating to him. These were people that he deliberately wanted on his team, so the fact that at any point JYP could just take him off and that'd be it. He felt embarrassed that he had been at the company so long. He kind of felt like he had to debut this time. There would be no other way around it. He's been a trainee much longer than the other members, so he's got a little bit of a better understanding of what JYP actually wants. So he's always trying to encourage the other members as much as he can and keep them going, even when Bangshan might not have had that originally when he was a trainee. However, he understands that pure encouragement will get them nowhere. He gives them tough love too. He'll give them strict criticisms that need changing. If someone's not dancing right or they're not dancing intensely, he's gonna address it as quickly as he can. It does them no good to just leave it be. After their performance at the Homecoming showcase, JYP tells Chan he did very well as he expected, however, he lacked personal charisma. JYP wants him to be more selfish with his performances. Ironically, the one thing he held so close was now becoming an issue for accomplishing his dream. However, JYP says the boys' project team looks like a complete organism because they were left to Chan. He's saying that they look like an actual team and not just trainees pieced together and slapped into something for the sake of a trainee showcase. And this is kind of why Bang Chan wants to show JYP that all 9 of the members can debut together and that they really should. Bang Chan is Stray Kids. When one member is struggling, he always makes an effort to help the best that he can. In episode 4, other members are evaluating Team 4419 and they get a little silly, so Chan reminds them to stay serious. He understands that his role of leader means he has to tell the members what they might not necessarily want to hear. He's seen people eliminated because they fail to understand what JYP Entertainment is truly looking for. The last thing he wants is them to be stuck as long as he has. In the same episode, Lino was eliminated. Whenever a member is eliminated, it's a direct hit to Chan. He deliberately picked them, and he feels as though he let them down. In episode 8, JYP tells Chan he has to do better in everything. Bang Chan was so focused on pushing the other members through debut that he wasn't working on himself. His selflessness wasn't enough for the selfishness that they needed to have for the K-pop industry. They needed to be more selfish in their performances to get that attention from people watching. And in the same episode, he let someone else down. Felix was eliminated. At this time, Felix was likely the closest to Chan because of their similar Australian backgrounds. Bang Chan likely saw himself in Felix. Like Felix, Bang Chan was once close to trainees that continued their careers without him. The last thing he wanted was for the same situation to occur.
Always find me, eh? I'm not gonna leave you behind.
Bang Chan felt guilty for everything happening. He felt as though he failed to be the leader he needed to be.
Even when you're really struggling, I should have been there. I'm so sorry.
However, Lino and Felix would later be given a second chance in the live finale episode. And then when they won full group 9 debut, Felix goes running straight to Bang Chan. Bang Chan had kind of broken the cycle. Everyone behind him or around him would go in front, much like this situation. But instead, Felix continued with them. And then the next year, Bang Chan finally made his debut on March 25th, 2018. The one thing he worked so hard for had now come true. But what made it even better is instead of just debuting in a group, he was the one that created it. It was one that he deliberately wanted to be in, and he chose the people around him. 3RACHA 2 prevailed in the group. They went on to write the majority of Stray Kids songs, even reworking some of their older tracks into full group versions. Fast forward to 2021, and Stray Kids released No Easy. The album became JYP Entertainment's first album to exceed 1 million physical sales, achieving the record in just its first month. A huge accomplishment for the group and the company. Bang Chan's group, Stray Kids, had become the massive success they pushed him for early on. And then a couple years later, on their third full-length album, 5 Star, they sold over 5 million physical copies. Huge increase. The album also won Top K-Pop Album at the Billboard Music Awards in 2023. And through all that, he never lost his drive for writing music. He also co-wrote Slash for the Hollywood blockbuster Deadpool Wolverine, all with 3RACHA, his unit that he originally formed when he thought that he couldn't make any friends anymore. The friends that he was so worried about making had now stuck with him for his life. Even when it was hard and the company wanted him to be more selfish as a performer, Bang Chan stuck to his own personal goals and drive. And it's that very ambition that helped him build not only a team around him, but a family of brothers that he can depend on too. Lino is widely recognized as Stray Kids' leader of dance, being the strongest dancer and the richest in experience. But how did he get to that point? When he was in middle school around 2013, he saw a video online and he took action immediately by going to dance right in the mirror. He enjoyed it a lot, leading him to eventually go join Seoul Dance Studio and begin learning how to dance better and how to dance correctly. Seoul Dance Studio likes to showcase the choreographies that their students are creating or their teachers, and whenever they do that, we often see Lino coming into the actual choreographies, and we're able to kind of look at what he's done over the years and see that direct evolution of his skills. And about 2015, we see one video where it's very clear he's still new to dance, where he's making mistakes and counting and knowing when to perform moves. but it's still incredibly impressive given he's only been training for 2 years at this point. What's interesting is he's really good with his footwork at this point, but his arm motions are still needing a little bit of work. He's very sharp and specific with his moves, and it's very clear that he really wants to be in this dance. He really enjoys what he's doing. We can see that with how far and how quickly he's growing in his dance. A little bit before this point, where we're seeing a lot of him in these choreography showcases, he actually auditioned to be a K-pop idol with Cube Entertainment, but unfortunately he failed the audition. Though, he didn't give up. Next year, he auditioned for JYP Entertainment in 2015, but unfortunately, he seemingly failed that one too, since the company never reached out to him after it. But, lucky for him, he wasn't discouraged by these failures. He kept practicing at Seoul Dance. At this time, he kind of accepted that he probably wouldn't get to be an idol, so he prioritized his dancing career. And in 2016, we see another video of him. Here he is clearly making improvements. His moves are more aligned and his arm motions are notably better. He's understanding how to use all of his body at the same time, rather than just some parts of his body and then letting the others follow through. Around the same time this video released, he actually joined 2 dance teams within Seoul Dance, being Cupcakes and Brownie Bros. They're nothing new that he formed necessarily, they were teams that already existed, but he was just recruited almost, or he joined into it. And while he was in this, he began making larger steps in his dance career as he's joining teams now. He's becoming much more successful and recognized within the studio, and he's progressing a ton for where he is. He went on to perform at the World of Dance South Korean qualifiers with Cupcakes on June 2nd, 2016, which, if you don't know it, it's a huge international dance competition. So the fact he was able to attend the qualifiers says a lot about his skills in just 3 years. And it's around this time he joined BTS's backup dancer line. I'm unsure of the exact dates, but he claims he joined in their Fire era, which was released a month prior on May 2nd. Totally possible that he joined before the competition, just would usually expect it to be the other way around with him joining the backup dancer line after getting the exposure from the competition. So it's really interesting to see him being recognized by such a large group and being able to participate with them even before getting that recognition on something like World of Dance. Most people already know about Lino's history with BTS, so we'll go through it kinda quick. He toured with BTS for the Live Trilogy Episode 3, The Wings Tour, in 2017. He didn't participate in the whole tour. He was only there as a backup dancer for the 13 Japanese shows from May 30th to July 2nd. He vividly remembers getting goosebumps during Not Today when they began the show. He remembers that moment where the curtains would drop and then everybody gets to see BTS all in line, and everyone is freaking out that they're right there in front of them. It was during this time his dream of being an idol was revitalized. He understood he wanted to be at the center of the stage, not just in the back. He wanted to be the one they're screaming for, not just supporting the ones that they're screaming for. He passed an entrance exam at the Chugi University for the Arts with a self-choreographed performance. It's one thing to have your dance skills being recognized through World of Dance or BTS, but creating your own routine and having it accepted is a huge testament. Lino first heard back from JYP Entertainment on July 15th, 2017, about 2 years since he first auditioned. This is where the timing and specifics get a little interesting and kind of speculative. The first time the boys project team performed was on August 22nd, 2017, at JYP's Homecoming Trainee Showcase. This was also the first episode and event of the Stray Kids Survival Show. I'm fairly certain that JYP Entertainment and Mnet had decided the Survival Show would lead to a new boy group, even though they show the girl trainee team as a competitor. Though I'm not seeing this discussed very widely, really just on the coup, so please take it with a grain of salt. Assuming that the boys project team was intended to be the focus of the show, it's incredibly special that they reached out to Lino for this, especially with barely 5 weeks of time to prepare for the show. JYP Entertainment understood his skills and that he'd be able to lead the dance as Stray Kids were going through their show. Lino also credits his participation on World of Dance 2016 for being the reason JYP Entertainment called him back. This kind of builds into more of why the company was so interested in Lino. They saw that he was already experienced, they saw that he was interested in doing this, and they also saw that he was specifically interested in doing it with them. So it made for a perfect person to reach out to and get in contact with. However, even though he was experienced, he was still pushed during his short training time. Being called back didn't guarantee he would join the boys project team. The main focus JYPE had for Lino during his short training period was to drill dance practice and specialize in that over the singing. They knew that it might be a little bit hard to learn some new skills that you don't necessarily already have in 5 weeks, but they wanted him to perfect something so he could be the specialist at that. In 2020, Lino told Arena magazine his main driver during these stressful times as a trainee was the desire not to lose my love for dancing, and it's that drive that helped him break JYP records. Lino passed the 40 basic choreography moves JYP Entertainment has in just 2 weeks, which was the max amount of time he had to be able to make it on the boys project team. The previous fastest record was held by the Twice member Momo, with 4 months, compared to the 2 weeks that Lino made it in.
끝에 몰리면은 다 하게 돼 있어.
The main difference here was that the other trainees had a bit more time to get them down. Lino didn't. He was forcing himself to accomplish it. There was no other way to do it. He had to get it done. It wasn't necessarily that he was so good already that he could accomplish it in 2 weeks, but that he only had 2 weeks to get it done. The first episode of Stray Kids Survival Show aired on October 17th. Later in the second episode, we actually get to see more of him being that leader of dance. We see him helping Ian practice his dance after being criticized. By helping him, he was able to build Ian's confidence up and keep him going through the show. Unfortunately though, because he prioritized his dance so much during his short training period, his vocals weren't debut ready. JYP recommended he try rapping instead in the second episode, though because of his inexperience with rapping, he wasn't anywhere near as confident with it as he was with dance. In the fourth episode, during the unit performances, unfortunately he made a mistake while rapping, leading to his elimination. He wasn't eliminated because of the mistake necessarily, rather he was eliminated because it looked like he needed more time to train. It's unfortunately kinda hard to be an idol if your best skill is dance, and your vocal skills can't compare as well. But he didn't give up. He continued to train at JYP Entertainment despite his elimination, focused on improving his vocal abilities, but he never lost his love for dance. Because he kept his drive up, JYP saw his ambition and thought he deserved a second chance. He performs a few times with the full Stray Kids team on the live finale, then a live vote for 7 members or 9 is held. The viewers nearly unanimously voted for 9 members over the 7, being a whole 96% to 4. Everyone clearly loved him and couldn't see the group without him. He finally made his debut on March 25th, 2018. He proved himself and made it to the center stage, something he had dreamed of for years. His first EP released the day after, however, he wasn't done yet. He still had more to prove in his career. As the group's appointed dance leader, he felt he needed to prove that role powerfully, and a few months later, he got a strong opportunity to do just that. On August 26th, Lino and Dance Racha released a Skids Player performance in which they all choreographed the routine. We don't necessarily see much of them creating the choreography, but I think it's fair to assume Lino was a huge part in the process. Not only has he been an actual dancer longer than the other two, but he also has experience on his own making a choreography, and even though he didn't have much time to prepare for the performance, he showed why he's the Stray Kids dance leader. It's a huge step in his career as a dancer, however, he could still grow further as an idol. In this performance, it was really just focused on those dance abilities. They never sang in the performance. The following year, on July 3rd, he actually expanded those skills, where he released a self-choreographed dance performance named Dawn, all on his own. He doesn't perform on his own though, he's still got a couple backup dancers, but he's the one that choreographed the entire performance. I had a short period of time, but I worked hard to prepare the music and choreography myself to give you a different look. Lino often works off of short time frames, but also delivers his best. Even when he doesn't have a lot of time to prepare something necessarily, he's always trying to make it into the absolute best product he can. And that's the kind of thing that comes from his desire to never lose his love for dance. I imagine if he didn't love what he does, he'd struggle to create and improve in the time he's allowed. Being an idol means you have to be ready always, and you have to be constantly learning and improving. You can never be stuck in one spot. If you get stuck there, you'll get passed. And that can't be happening when you're the dance leader. Which is why he went to the Lab Studio in LA. While Stray Kids were in LA, following the US shows of the District 9 Unlock Tour, all of the members actually went here, except for 3 Racha because they were off doing their own thing. But it was a huge opportunity for him to continue learning and keep that role of dance leader. It's not necessarily about learning new moves every time, but also learning how to prioritize your moves better or your technique and knowing your stamina, knowing your body, a lot of things that most people don't really consider when they're dancing. The faster that he can pick up moves and the faster he can pick up the routines, the sooner he's able to actually help the people around him. The very next year, he was able to exceptionally showcase all that he's learned and improved on with Kingdom Legendary War. Following the show's premiere, he gave a special solo performance. It's certainly not the longest performance, and there's also other idols before him and after him, but none are actually performing with him. The fact that he was selected and trusted to build intrigue in the show with just his skills and appeal is kind of crazy. It's great to be seeing that he's grown to such a point where he was originally in that area where he was kind of off to the side and as that backup dancer, but now he's gotten to that point where he can be at the focus and people want to see him as the focus. He's now become the one that people are screaming for, and he's not just off the side when the curtains are dropping. Later in the year, he became a fixed MC on Show Music Core, and in celebration of that, he actually gave a special dance cover of Bruno Mars's Finesse on August 14th. It's certainly not the most complicated performance, but it's interesting to see, again, people want to celebrate with him even when he's appointed as an MC on a music show. Shortly after that, he was featured in Etro's luxury fashion campaign on September 16th, along with Dance Racha. His ability to dance has become so appealing that brands are literally hiring him just to dance in their products. Again, it's a huge testament of how he's grown from the backdrop to the center stage. He didn't say anything in the promotion video either, he literally just dances. That's what convinced people to buy the products. His individual interests grew more later in the year as he participated in a special performance alongside other idols on NBC's music festival. The fact he's mixing in with other groups now highlights his growing appeal as a solo idol and as an individual on his own, and not having to always lean off of the Stray Kids name. I mean, especially as a dancer, this is a huge thing to be accomplishing. However, even as he was becoming more established on his own, his role as Stray Kids dance leader stayed true the whole time. While Stray Kids were filming the music video for S-Class, we see him helping Ian better understand the choreography and perform it easier, like moving his hands rather than his full arms. The fact that Ian looks to him and Hyunjin right away when he needs help tells a lot. Lino is that expert that the other members can go to when they need help on their dance. Later that year, on October 21st and 22nd, Lino performed solo for the very first time in a concert setting. He's performed solo in music shows or recordings several times, but he's never performed for a live audience with thousands of people in the same room. However, he didn't really get a chance to showcase his dance skills during this performance, as Limbo, which he performed, is more so a ballad rock song, so a routine just wouldn't fit it. And that's why his performance the next year was so monumental. On August 24th, 2024, the first Dominate show, Lino performed Youth. Now, obviously, if you've heard Youth, you'd probably know it's very different to Limbo. It's a synth pop song, so the choreography makes more sense for this one. It's a huge performance for him, because now he gets to showcase himself in the center, and not so much constantly working with the other people around you. Lino is the one at the center stage performing a song he wrote, surrounded by backup dancers. It's a full circle moment where he was once in their position, accompanying the beloved idols. Now he's the one taking the spotlight, where fans are cheering for him, which is fully showcasing the one thing he swore to never lose his love for, dance. It might not be the most complex routines he's ever performed, but it carries the pure love he has for it. And I think that's what matters more than anything. You can try to be the perfect dancer and the best one out there, but if you don't love to dance, it shows in your performance. You can do the hardest moves in all of dance, but if your heart isn't in it, like Lino, then you could never become a leader of dance.
Minho is the second oldest member of Stray Kids, a Korean pop group who has built themselves up by producing and choreographing their own music. Within Stray Kids, Lino has become one of the most respected idol dancers thanks to his careful attention to every move and his extensive background in dance. Born on October 25th, 1998, in Gimpo, South Korea, Lee Min-ho, also known as Lino, was raised as an only child. Early in his life, he trained in Taekwondo and mixed martial arts, which he earned his second-degree black belt in. As a child, he initially dreamed of becoming a policeman, but that changed in middle school when he saw a dance performance online. He quickly tried to mimic the moves, practicing in front of his bathroom mirror. Excited, he asked his mom if he could take dance lessons. According to past information, Lino grew up primarily in Daegatmyeon, a peninsula of Gimpo, which would mean Lino took a 2-hour commute just for dance classes, which is actually kinda crazy. That really goes to show how dedicated and invested Mino was in dance. He trained with Soul Dance for 5 years, up until he debuted in Stray Kids. Due to his long commutes, Lino took on multiple jobs during high school to cover his travel expenses. He worked as a teacher at the dance studio and also as an employee at a local barbecue restaurant. Not long after he started learning dance, he auditioned for a spot at Cube Entertainment. Coincidentally, National Geographic was there on the same day, interviewing aspiring trainees. Mino was one of the fortunate few to be interviewed, where he shared his dream of becoming a singer. He performed Usher's OMG, likely the same routine he had prepared for the audition. Unfortunately, he didn't pass the audition and continued to train at Soul Dance. The following year, he auditioned for a different company, JYP Entertainment. His audition audition followed with no success, and Mino assumed he had failed it again due to the lack of any response from JYP. 2016 came, and he was now 18. He decided to pursue dancing professionally, where he joined 2 different dance teams within Seoul Dance, those being Cupcakes and Brownie Bros. He participated in the 2016 World of Dance show with his dance team, Cupcakes, on June 2nd. Around the same time, Lino joined BTS's backup dance team, performing as a dancer for their music videos. In 2017, Mino continued performing as a backup dancer for BTS during their live trilogy episode 3, The Wings Tour. He participated in the Japanese leg of the tour, from May 30th to July 2nd, performing in 13 shows altogether. While on tour, Mino realized he no longer wanted to stay in the background. He wanted to be at the center of the stage, reviving his middle school dream of becoming a singer. Around this time, JYP Entertainment finally followed up on Mino's audition, nearly 2 years later. The company likely noticed how much he had improved through his experience working with BTS. On July 15th, 2017, Minho joined JYP Entertainment as a trainee. Lino chose to use his full name, Minho, as his stage name when he first joined the company. Shortly after, he caught the attention of Bang Chan, who was assembling a 9-member group. Impressed by Mino's exceptional dancing skills, Chan saw him as a valuable asset and invited him to join Stray Kids. On October 6th, 2017, the group released the music video for their promotional song, Elevator, written by 3RACHA, the core producers of Stray Kids. Elevator became the theme song for their upcoming survival show, Stray Kids, which premiered on October 17th. Initially, Mino focused on fulfilling his dream of being a singer by handling the vocal parts of the first rendition of Elevator. However, during the second episode of Stray Kids, when the group performed the song for Park Jin-young, better known as JYP, he felt Mino lacked the singing skills required for the group. JYP challenged him to rap on the spot, despite Mino having no prior experience. Mino successfully met JYP's expectations with his rapping, allowing him to continue on the show. JYP informed the 9 members to split into units for the next mission, with each unit tasked with writing and performing a new song. Minho, along with 2 other members, was at risk of elimination. For his unit, he chose Changbin from 3RACHA and his fellow main dancer, Felix. Both Changbin and Felix were known for their rapping skills, which allowed Mino to learn and grow as a rapper in preparation for his next performance. The following week, Mino and his unit performed Glow for JYP, showcasing both rapping and singing lines in an attempt to impress him. Unfortunately, Mino made a mistake in his rap due to his inexperience and nerves. JYP felt that Mino's performance would hold the group back, attributing it to his short 2-month training period. Despite his ongoing vocal training, JYP also believed Minho wasn't ready to sing effectively. As a result, Minho was eliminated in the 4th episode. The show continued with 8 members, but Minho, despite his elimination, persisted in training with JYP Entertainment. He dedicated himself to improving, especially in his rapping skills. Jin-young noticed Minho's hard work and decided to give him another chance in the 9th episode of the show. Felix, who had also been eliminated in episode 8, was given another opportunity alongside Minho. The 10th episode was broadcast live across South Korea on December 19th, featuring performances from both the 7-member and the 9-member group. JYP left the decision up to the viewers, who overwhelmingly voted in favor of all 9 members debuting, with 96% supporting the full lineup and only 4% against it. The following year, Mino made his debut with Stray Kids, performing at Jongchung Arena on March 25, 2018. At this time, he changed his stage name from Mino to Lino to avoid confusion with Shiny's Mino. The next day, March 26th, his first EP with Stray Kids, titled I Am Not, was released. This digital album features 7 tracks, with Lino primarily taking on the rapping parts. Although the songs were produced by the members of Stray Kids, giving him a chance to sing a few lines, he wasn't given any of the vocal hooks quite yet. Lino, Felix, and Hyunjin collectively made up the unit Dance Russia. Exactly 5 months after their I Am Not mini-album released, they showcased their dancing abilities through an SKZ player video. In addition to being celebrated for his dance skills, Lino is also well known among fans for his deep love for cats. He even claims to be able to communicate with them perfectly. In early 2019, he adopted his 3rd cat, Dori, who now lives with his parents along with his 2 other cats, Suni and Dungi. Around the same time, on April 17th, Lino appeared as a special guest MC on the music program Show Champion. On July 3rd, Lino further showcased his dancing skills with an SKZ player video, where he performed a choreography he created to a jazz-influenced song. He titled the performance Dawn and gave fans a brief insight into the personal meaning behind the choreography. This video highlighted his creativity and deep connection to dance, allowing fans to see another side of his artistry. Mino writes, I often stay up until dawn practicing my choreography, and I've been thinking about the time of day called dawn. For me, dawn is a time when night and morning coexist, and I try to express the conflicting moods of night and morning by adding a movement to a musical source. I had a short period of time, but I worked hard to prepare the music and choreography myself to give you a different look. I hope you enjoy it. A month later, Lino hosted his first live stream, which he called Lino's Playroom. 3 months after that, Stray Kids appeared on the Korean drama Extraordinary You, where they performed their original song, Neverending Story. This song marked a significant milestone for Lino, as it was his first opportunity to sing the chorus in one of the group's major tracks. He is featured on every chorus, sharing the part with some of Stray Kids' renowned vocalists, Han, Seungmin, and Bangchan. The following year, on February 21st, Lino released his first vlog. In this vlog, he can be seen taking a rest day by hanging out with his high school friends, as well as his 3 cats. After Woojin's leave in October, Stray Kids released an album on March 18th featuring re-recorded versions of their past songs, filling in the gaps left by their former 9th member. Most notably, Lino took on singing parts within the chorus for several songs, including Mirror, originally sung by Ian, and Spread My Wings and Miro, both of which were originally sung by Woojin. This allowed Lino to further showcase how much he had developed his vocal capabilities since they were first recorded. In 2020, Lino is beginning to achieve his dream of both performing at the center and being a singer. Additionally, Stray Kids released the first repackaged album on September 4th, titled In Life. Lino, along with his unit, Dance Racha, wrote the 7th track on the album, Wow. Mino could be heard singing throughout the entire track. As April began, Stray Kids participated in a new TV show, Kingdom Legendary War, hosted by Mnet, which aired 10 episodes. Stray Kids delivered several iconic performances, with one of the most memorable being their cover of their fellow contestants' B2B's song, I'll Be Your Man. In the 5th episode, aired on April 29th, Lino took on the challenging vocals in the song's chorus, further establishing him as the singer he aspired to be. This performance showcased his growth and proved to the millions of viewers that he indeed is a skilled vocalist. A few months later, on July 3rd, Bangchan and Lino collaborated on the track Drive. This pop hip-hop fusion song features a chill yet energetic style. Although Lino doesn't take on any singing roles in the song, it highlights his impressive rapping skills. Drive was released with a music video, as part of the SKZ Replay series. A little over a month later, on August 14th, Lino became a fixed MC for the music program Show Music Core. He served as an MC for a little over 2 years, beginning working with NCT 127's Jungwoo and a former IZ*ONE member, Kim Minju. 9 days later, on August 23rd, Lino and Stray Kids released their second full-length album, No Easy. The album features another unit song, similar to Wow, from In Life. However, unlike In Life, Mino reunited with the same members he worked with during the survival show. Dubbed Team Glow, Lino, Changbin, and Felix collaborated to write the summer-inspired song, Surfin'. In this track, Mino takes on numerous singing roles, even filling in the otherwise empty bridge, further showcasing his vocal growth. The following month, on September 16th, Lino was featured in Etro's new luxury fashion campaign, alongside his fellow Dance Racha members. As 2022 began, Mino appeared on the cover of Beauty Plus magazine for their February issue. This feature marked a significant moment in his career, as he began to be recognized not just as a member of Stray Kids, but also a prominent figure in both the fashion and music industries. On March 18th, Lino once again took the center with the other vocalists of Stray Kids. For the Ordinary album, the group split into 2 teams, each creating their own song. Lino co-wrote Waiting for Us alongside the group's strong vocalists, Seungmin, Ian, and Bangchan. While it's no longer surprising to see Mino singing, what makes this song particularly noteworthy is how much he has grown, now able to hold his own and sing alongside those who excel in and are dedicated to singing. Later that year, Stray Kids released another album featuring unit tracks. Dance Racha's new song, Taste, blends pop and EDM, making it an ideal track for a dance performance. In this song, Lino effortlessly showcases his singing, rapping, and dancing skills. As 2022 came to a close, Stray Kids released a compilation album featuring both previously released project songs and a new solo track for each member. Mino's collaboration track, Drive, was included as track 14, along with his own solo song, Limbo. Lino co-wrote Limbo with producer Hot Sauce, making it one of the few songs to not involve 3 Racha. The track is a vocal-heavy piece, blended with melodic rapping, perfectly encapsulating who Lino is and what he aspires to be. Limbo has rightfully become one of the most played songs from the SKZ Player series, amassing over 30 million streams on Spotify alone. In the middle of 2023, on June 9th, Lino appeared on the Pixid YouTube channel, where he took part in a challenge to disguise himself as a kid among other kids, a playful nod to the Stray Kids group name. Ironically, Lino's naturally playful personality helped him blend in quite well. However, he was eventually caught due to a slip-up when trying to calculate the age he would need to be to convincingly pose as a second grader. The following month, Lino was again featured on the cover of a magazine, this time being seen on the cover of Dazed Korea. Mino's appearance on the magazine had caught the attention of a luxury brand, Dior. The brand wanted to get in on the marketable chance and sponsored the issue, which would feature Lino in the brand's clothing. Later in October, Lino was chosen for the digital cover of W Korea's October issue, with the shot sponsored by the luxury brand, Gucci. In addition to his cover feature, Mino appeared as a guest on W Korea's YouTube channel, where he shared tips and tricks for making better tasting chicken breasts. The following month, Lino was featured in W Korea for a pictorial, once again sponsored by Gucci. Shortly after, Lino took part in W Korea's 18th annual Love Your W campaign, aimed at raising awareness for breast cancer. In between his features with W Korea, Lino released a duet with Han on October 15th, titled Want So Bad. The track is an upbeat, bouncy song that primarily showcases his singing. Shortly after, on November 4th, Lino stepped down from his role as an MC for Show Music Core due to increasing scheduling conflicts. 6 days later, on November 10th, Stray Kids released Rockstar, an album where Lino showcased perhaps the most singing of his career. He took on key vocalist roles throughout the album, most notably delivering the iconic ending hook of Cover Me and the chorus of the softer track, Leave. Rockstar stands as a testament to all that Lino has worked for over the years, marking his full acceptance as a singer within the group. After 2024 had begun, Lino released his first cover track as a part of the SKZ Record series. He covered his label mate Day 6's track, Love or Leave Me. On February 29th, it was reported that Lino had donated 100 million Korean won to World Vision's Global Hunger Crisis Response Project to help children facing food shortages. In recognition of his generous contribution, he was appointed as a member of the Bob Pierce Honor Club. On August 22nd, 2023, 6 members of Stray Kids opened personal Instagram accounts. However, Lino didn't see the purpose or need for one at the time. Out of consideration for Lino, Han also chose not to open an account, not wanting Lino to feel left out. Eventually, Lino changed his mind and made his first post on his new Instagram account on March 25th, 2024. Lino's influence in both fashion and music was further acknowledged when he was one of Gucci's guests at their Cruise 2025 fashion show on May 16th, solidifying his status as a rising style icon. His association with the luxury brand didn't stop there, as in June 2024, he was featured on the cover of W Korea's June issue, sponsored by Gucci. Honestly, not sure why Gucci is hesitating to make Lino an ambassador of the brand. They really seem to love him. Lino's vocal journey continued to flourish when he appeared on the Lee Moo-jin service show, where he performed Twilight off of 8, as well as 3 cover songs, Rumblefish's You to Me Again, Boa's Only One, and Banks' Can't Have You. The episode premiered on July 16th, further showcasing his reputation as a well-renowned singer. Following this, on July 23rd, Stray Kids released Slash, a project that prominently featured Lino singing. I've said it a million times now, but this one too is a special track. Slash was featured in the Hollywood blockbuster film Deadpool and Wolverine, showing that not only the group Stray Kids, but also the entirety of the company was confident with displaying Lino's singing capabilities in a major role. Over the years, Lino has demonstrated that he has achieved his goal of becoming a skilled singer. Alongside this, Lino has honed his dance skills for over a decade, refining the style that he's now known for. Additionally, he has mastered the art of blending his singing and dancing, a balance he once struggled to achieve. With all these accomplishments, it's clear that Lino plays a pivotal role within Stray Kids. So Changbin is known as one of the strongest songwriters of K-pop, both physically and mentally. He's been in the industry for over 8 years, helping write 164 songs and push his group, Stray Kids, in the right direction. Changbin, born on August 11th, 1999, in Yongin, South Korea, spent much of his early life in Wiwang, a city located just out of Seoul. He attended Gama Elementary School, where he demonstrated strong leadership skills by serving as the school president during his 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade years. Even at a young age, Changbin showed a passion for music and performing. His dream of becoming a singer was sparked when he received praise after performing at his school's festival, which would lead him towards pursuing a career in music. This early encouragement played a crucial role in shaping his ambitions, giving him the confidence to dream big and work towards a future in the entertainment industry. Around that same time, Changbin received a plushie of the Pokemon Munchlax, which he affectionately named Gyu. This plushie became special to him, and even after his debut, he kept it close, often saying it helped him sleep. During his high school years, Changbin was involved in various sports, with swimming being one of his favorites. He particularly excelled in breaststroke, a style he became skilled in over time. His dedication paid off when he won a gold medal in breaststroke at a local competition in Wiwang, showcasing his athletic talents alongside his growing passion for music. In addition to swimming, Changbin developed a deep interest in dance during his high school years. He joined the dance club at Bora High School and eventually became the head of the club, further honing his skills. His talent and charisma made him quite popular at school, even leading to fan cams of his performances surfacing online before he had officially debuted. It was also during this time that Changbin began writing his own music. In 2016, he used his self-written songs as part of his audition for JYP Entertainment, marking the start of his journey to become a K-pop idol. Towards the end of 2016, Changbin teamed up with the fellow JYP trainees Bangchan and Han to form a hip-hop group called 3 Racha. The trio made their debut by releasing their first track, Intro, on YouTube and SoundCloud on February 1st, 2017. Throughout that year, 3RACHA continued to release EPs while balancing their rigorous training. However, on October 6, 2017, Changbin appeared in the music video for a different group, Stray Kids. The song, Elevator, became his first officially released track under JYP Entertainment. Just a week later, all 9 members of Stray Kids were officially revealed by the name. At that time, Changbin looked quite different from his current appearance, being much slimmer and less muscular than he is today. The 9 members of Stray Kids were set to compete in their own survival show, Stray Kids, where they were tasked with various missions to prove they had what it took to debut. In the first episode, Changbin revealed his love for darker aesthetics, such as wearing dark clothing and creating rap-infused music with a heavy, intense vibe. This performance became a recurring theme throughout the series, helping to shape his image as a powerful, dark rapper. In the third episode, the contestants were divided into 3 groups, each responsible for creating and performing a song. Changbin, who had already received high praise from JYP for his rapping skills, teamed up with Mino and Felix. Together, they wrote the song Glow, which they performed in the 4th episode. Despite their efforts, Mino was eliminated due to a mistake he made with the lyrics during the performance. This elimination deeply affected Changbin, not only because they lost a potential group member, but also because Mino was his friend. Changbin felt a strong sense of guilt, believing that as the team's leader, he had failed to support Mino enough during the process. For most of the series, Felix was at risk of elimination due to his limited rapping skills and short experience with Korean. His focus on the language affected his dancing, leading to a noticeable mistake in episode 8. Because of this, JYP decided Felix should continue training separately from Stray Kids, eliminating him from the group. With both Minho and Felix eliminated, Changbin felt responsible for their exits. However, his worries were eased the following week when JYP decided to give them another chance. On December 19th, the live airing of the 10th episode of Stray Kids featured performances from both the full 9-member group and the remaining 7-member team. The audience overwhelmingly voted in favor of the 9-member group, with 96% support, proving that Changbin had been a strong leader for Mino and Felix, despite JYP's earlier concerns. As Stray Kids prepared for their debut, Changbin continued his schooling and graduated from Bora High School on February 6, 2018. Just a month later, on March 25th, he made his debut with Stray Kids at Jongchung Arena, where the group performed their upcoming original songs, all written by Changbin and 3RACHA. The next day, on March 26th, Stray Kids officially released their debut EP, I Am Not. 6 months later, on September 9th, Changbin showcased a brand new song with 3RACHA, titled Zone. Zone was an intense, darker style track, perfect to what Changbin enjoyed at the time. This song was seen as one of the first SKZ player tracks, later being released on December 21st of 2022 to streaming platforms. On February 20th, the following year, Changbin was featured on Yoonji Sung's EP, Aside, for the 5th track, You Like the Wind. This marked the first time any Stray Kids member had been featured on another artist's track. In the song, Changbin primarily delivered rap verses and also contributed to its writing. Just 2 days later, Yoonji Sung released a behind-the-scenes video showcasing Changbin's recording process and their interactions in the studio. Later that year, on December 19th, Changbin's first solo song was teased in a video on Muppley's YouTube channel, which featured upcoming Stray Kids tracks. The intro of Changbin's song was showcased, and its emotional tone was highlighted. Bang Chan even joked about a rumor that the song was so moving it brought all the JYP staff to tears. The track, Streetlight, was later released to YouTube as an SKZ player track on May 16th. Bang Chan, the leader of Stray Kids, was featured on his song, providing further vocals in the song. A music video was released with the track, however, only Changbin can be seen in the video, notably displaying him alone. Over the past few years, Changbin has gained a reputation for being both outspoken and someone who keeps much of his personal life private. He explores these contrasting feelings in his song Streetlight, where he raps about a character symbolizing his younger self. In the music video's description, Changbin includes a personal note offering insight into the meaning behind the song and how it reflects his inner struggles. So Changbin writes, "It's a song in which I use the lyrics to compare a person who suffers emotional pain and sorrow on his own, without telling anyone, who smiles and pretends like things are okay. This theme can be especially highlighted in both the intro and the chorus, where he sings, like a streetlight, at the end of a lonely day, standing vacantly in the middle of a lonely night, I try my best to smile brightly." Changbin continues with a revelation. If you ask someone for advice about your problems, even if the person can't resolve everything for you, just opening up about your feelings makes your heart rest a little easier. This piece of advice is completely avoided by the character in Streetlight, especially in the first verse, where he expresses, "I don't want anyone to see how incredibly weak I am. To the people who relied on me, that's a contradiction. Acting strong,
acting like I'm not hurting, acting like nothing is wrong. I just wanted to be someone who gives strength to others. I can't be the reason that they lose strength. He continues, to be honest, before I wrote this song, there was a time when I also really struggled on my own and wasn't able to tell anyone, but by writing those feelings into my lyrics and recording this song, I felt like I had shared them with someone, which gave me a sense of relief. I hope that the people who listen to this song will also find someone who will listen to what they have to say and empathize with their pain. With the creation and release of Streetlight, Changbin expresses his readiness to let go of his past beliefs. Through putting it into a song, he's saying that he's ready to change and become more open, facing his feelings with the support of those around him, rather than handling them alone. In the music video, a small leafless tree covered in dripping blue paint appears throughout, serving as more than just an artistic symbol. This imagery connects to a mental health initiative called the Blue Tree Project, which paints dead trees blue to raise awareness and encourage people to check in on loved ones. This visual metaphor ties directly to a line in Changbin's song, emphasizing the importance of emotional support and mental health. In the final lines of the first verse, he states, "I need someone before I collapse. Please ask me again if I'm okay. Somebody. Anybody." A month later, on June 28th, Changbin is anonymously featured on the TV series King of Masked Singer, where he performs a mix of singing and rapping. In early fall, Stray Kids released their first repackaged album, In Life. The album includes tracks written by the group's various subunits, like 3 Racha, Dance Racha, and Vocal Racha. Changbin, alongside 3 Racha, wrote the song We Go. Additionally, he contributed to Vocal Racha's song My Universe, assisting with its writing. Following their new album, Changbin released another SKZ player song named Cypher. Cypher was released on October 23rd and featured a similar style to the tracks 3 Racha made prior to their debut. In 2021, Changbin continued to show his talent in songwriting and collaboration. On January 15th, he co-wrote and featured on IN's SKZ player track Maknae on Top, which quickly gained attention as a fan favorite. His songwriting contributions didn't stop there. On March 14th, Changbin co-wrote Because alongside Felix, blending their unique styles into a track that resonated with many listeners. Shortly after, on March 25th, which marked Stray Kids' 3-year debut anniversary, Changbin co-wrote Piece of a Puzzle with Seungmin, further solidifying his role in shaping the group's musical direction. As the year progressed, he joined up with Seungmin, Bangchan, and Felix to co-write Up All Night, a track released on June 19th that showcased their cohesive teamwork in crafting memorable songs for fans. 2 months later, Stray Kids released their second full-length album, No Easy, which also featured songs from various subunits. However, instead of the usual Racha units, Changbin reunited with his former Glow teammates, Lino and Felix. Together, they aimed to create a fun, summer-inspired track that held the feeling of being at the beach. This collaboration resulted in the song Surfin', which received its own music video in mid-September. The song's upbeat and lighthearted vibe marked a significant shift from the dark, intense style Changbin was once known for, reflecting his growth and willingness to open up and let others in. Later on October 28th, Changbin collaborated with 2 other artists, F-Hero and Millie. The 3 of them wrote the song Mirror Mirror, a rap-style song, proving that even though Changbin is aspiring to change, he's not choosing to distance himself from the darker music altogether. Stray Kids started 2022 with the release of a new mini-album on March 18th, just a week before their 4th anniversary. Continuing their tradition of subunit tracks, the group split into 2 teams for the album. One group of 4 members wrote the sentimental song Waiting for Us, while the other 4, including Changbin, worked on Muddy Water. Changbin collaborated with Hyunjin, Han, and Felix to write Muddy Water, which stood as a grand contrast to Waiting for Us. It featured a grittier, rap-heavy style with a strong vocal presence, showcasing a different side of the group's musical range. With the release of Ordinary, Changbin attracted significant attention from fans due to the noticeable changes in his physique. Over the past few years, he had been dedicating himself to intense gym workouts, which resulted in a more muscular build. This transformation drew considerable focus, especially since he was previously known as one of the slimmest and shortest members of Stray Kids. At the end of the summer, Changbin appeared as a guest MC on the music program Weekly Idol. 2 months later, on October 7th, Stray Kids released their mini-album, Maxident. The album continued the theme of featuring tracks from the various Racha units, with 3 Racha, Changbin's unit, writing the self-titled track 3 Racha. This song, styled as a drill rap, pays homage to their first song, Intro, by starting with Changbin's signature line,
1, 2, 3, Racha spotlight,
which highlights their production unit's name and legacy. 5 days later, on October 12th, Changbin collaborated with his fellow label mates from NMIX. He joined members Kyujin and Haewon in dancing to their new song, Dice, as a part of their Big Wave Challenge. The video gained significant attention for Changbin's faithful replication of the choreography, avoiding the tendency among many male idols to alter or masculinize the moves.
This showcased Changbin's growing willingness to move beyond the image of always needing to appear strong, embracing a more genuine and inclusive approach to performance. As 2022 was coming to a close, Stray Kids released a compilation album to streaming platforms featuring the members' project songs, like Changbin's Streetlight, Cypher, and his various collaboration tracks. Additionally, he wrote a brand new solo track, Doodle. The following year, Changbin continued his trend of dance collaborations with various girl groups. On April 10th, he teamed up with NMIXX once more for their Love Me Like This challenge. In this video, he danced alongside Haewon and Jiwoo, once again staying true to the original choreography. This performance generated even more buzz than his previous collaboration, with many noting the striking contrast between Changbin's typically dark and muscular image and his energetic execution of a girl group's dance routine. On June 2nd, Stray Kids released their third full-length album, 5 Star. With the release of their newest album, the members could be seen collaborating for each other's dance challenges. On June 9th, Changbin collaborated with Promise 9's Seiram and Hayoung for their newest song, Me Now. Changbin is also known for his close friendship with ITZY member Chaeryeong. On June 14th, they filmed a dance video together for S-Class. The following day, Changbin collaborated with the Seraphims Chaewon and Sakura for a dance challenge to their trending song, Eve Psych and the Bluebeard's Wife. The day after, on June 16th, he filmed another dance challenge, this time to G-Idol's latest track, Queen Card, joining the group's leader and fellow producer, Soyeon, for their performance. Following his performance as Soyeon, he and Bangchan both performed Queen Card live for fans at their third annual fan meeting on July 1st and 2nd. On June 24th, Changbin returned as a guest MC, this time for the music program Show Music Core. On August 22nd, he collaborated again with his friend Chaeryeong to film a dance challenge for ITZY's latest track, Cake. Later, on September 1st, Changbin contributed to Samsung's ad campaign for the Galaxy Z Flip 5 with a solo track titled Fly High. The song, which he wrote and performed, was accompanied by a music video released on September 13th. 2 months later, on November 10th, Stray Kids released Rockstar, leading to more songs with Changbin's iconic dancing style. His first performance, on November 18th, was with Kiss of Life's Natty for their song Bad News. The following day, he filmed a video with BBG's Sin B for their song Maniac, a fitting collaboration as Stray Kids too have a song named Maniac. His final dance collaboration was on December 5th with NMIXX's Hyunjin, in which he danced to their song Sonar. On February 8th of the new year, Changbin teamed up with G-Idol's Soyeon once again to dance to their new song, Super Lady. Later in the year, he was featured on the cover of W Korea for their June issue, marking the first time he appeared solo on a magazine cover. This highlighted his rising recognition beyond just his songwriting skills. The following month, Stray Kids made their comeback with 8 and the title track Chick Chick Boom. On July 21st, Changbin collaborated with G-Idol's Mion to film dance challenges for both Chick Chick Boom and Klaxon. 9 days later, on July 30th, Changbin was featured on Chaeryeong's interview series. With his interview appearance, the two of them filmed a dance challenge for Stray Kids' song Chick Chick Boom. As for his future, it's clear that Changbin will continue writing and producing music. In fact, he is set to be featured on ITZY's upcoming album, Gold. He's credited for writing the track Vey, and he will also be performing vocally on the song. How he will approach the performance remains to be seen, as the album is set to release on October 15th. We've seen him grow through the past years, and we can be certain he will continue pushing himself to grow and change to be more emotionally open with the people around him.
When Hyunjin entered the industry, he was seen as a pretty face, but now he's proven that he's much more than that by expanding his skills. When we're first introduced to him in the survival show, back in episode 1, he actually gets a dedicated portion of the episode just about his visuals. There's like a little spin-off gag, if you will, just going into how the staff members there are falling for him. We get introduced to him as that visual. We don't get to hear much about his skills early on, or his dancing, or his rap, or his vocals. We're presented to him as being that visual. And what that means is a lot of people are going to keep that going, and they're going to remember him as the visual of the group. They're going to remember him as a pretty face and not necessarily someone who has great dance skills or has a strong ambition. As the show progresses, though, we get to see more of what he's actually capable of, and not necessarily so much of him just looking good. As they expand and begin to release albums like I Am Not or I'm Who, we actually get to see a little bit more of his actual skills, like he gets special rap portions or dance performances in those little performances themselves. He's getting more chances to actually show what he's capable of and not just his face. He's being spotlighted for his actual lines and performances during those shows, but his actual visuals are still a huge part of it, and they're definitely pushing that a lot still. By the way, if you like minimal, Stray Kids inspired designs, I've been making hoodies and shirts for fans who like something a little more subtle. The link down below, or you can scan this QR code on screen. Okay, back to the video. When people are introduced to him for the first time, they usually will look at just him instead of his dancing or his rapping. That usually is an afterthought for them. They're not necessarily looking at his skills right away. And we see more of his actual visuals being highlighted and kind of focused in on as his career goes on. In 2019, he actually began to be a MC on Show Music Core. This kind of role isn't so much about really showing his dance or his singing, because it's really more so kind of like a stand-in and look nice kind of role, where they still have to understand how to present properly. However, it's not so much about dancing or singing. However, it did help with broadening his actual public image. People got to see him a whole lot more instead of it just being the member with Stray Kids that looks nice. This is where he kind of began to almost open up and have his own personal identity, where people saw him as the person on the music show that they looked into more, and they could find those performances. Because actually back in 2018, Dance Watch actually made a designated performance that they choreographed themselves. So this is kind of like a section where he was able to show that he's not so much of that visual and that he's actually got skills to him. This is where he was able to show that he can choreograph a performance and he can perform it well. However, this was obviously just an early performance. It wasn't a great representation of what he is on his own, as it was a 3 performance. It was the 3 members of Dance Racha. And then we actually get to see more of those personal skills later on, because a couple years later after that, he began kind of focusing in on actually creating stuff himself. He wanted to prove his artistic intent that he has, because he's a very artistic person. He's very particular with what he's doing. And he had that opportunity when he actually created another Skiz Player performance, but this time on his own, instead of it being with Dance Racha all together. This time he actually performed to Billie Eilish's song, When the Party's Over, and that was able to show his emotional framing and his control with it all, and also tying in almost a narrative dance to it. It was really interesting, especially given the time it came out. With this performance, he was able to kind of show that he's a little bit more than just that visual, and that he's got his own skills that he can use to show off almost. He's not just the face, he's got creative skills or dance skills that he can use as well. And a couple months later, around God's Menu and Backdoor, he became kind of almost like a visual magnet, if you will, where people were seeing his performances and they were also seeing him together. They weren't just seeing the visual Hyunjin, they were also seeing the Hyunjin that can perform well and can dance great. They were seeing his blonde or pink hair that was huge during this time. And then around the same time as well, he joined a kind of like a spin-off team called Bong Bongs, which is a collective of a couple of different idols from different groups, all born in the same year. They performed twice. One time they performed Psycho around this time. It's a cover of Red Velvet's song, and this grew him a ton of publicity. Lots of people were seeing him as that idol that was not only looking good, but also performing exceptionally well. In the song, Psycho is very well known for being a song with a huge high note that is incredibly hard to hit. While the version they performed isn't exactly that high, it's actually an octave lower, it's still a huge jump to showcase those skills that he has. And that brought in a whole lot of new people to not only Stray Kids, but Hyunjin. He was basically shaping the performances he was in instead of it just being something he was relaying the information of. While people saw him as a visual or saw him as good looking, they also saw him as capable of exceptional skills. I just wanted to come in and say, if you've been enjoying the video, you should subscribe. I post a lot of Stray Kids content, and if you're to stay as well, you'd really like it here. Anyway, back to Hyunjin. In the same year, he also released his very first Skiz Player song, called Miss You, and that kind of helped him showcase that he's obviously got a great face, he's got great dance skills, but he can also write, and that's not something you see a whole lot of in K-pop. You very rarely will see K-pop idols actually writing songs. Much like we've seen before, the song is very artistic as well. It's not necessarily so much about trying to have the most poppy sound or trendy noises. It's just about what he was thinking. And it was an empathy kind of song. It was emotional. He kind of showed that he's obviously more than what's on the outside, and he also has something to offer himself. Hyunjin was becoming a huge part of Stray Kids, and not necessarily because of his face or his visuals. He was also becoming a huge part because of what he has to offer. And we saw him creating a whole lot more the next year in 2021. Around the middle of the year, he released another performance where he choreographed his own dance. Again, we don't see this a whole lot in K-pop. We don't see very many idols actually making their own performances and releasing that to showcase what they are capable of. Usually it's just going to be the things they're handed to. And then later on their second studio album, No Easy, Hyunjin helped write Red Lights with Bangchan. He was continuing to grow those skills that people thought he didn't necessarily have. And he was actually recognized for these skills later in 2021 as well. In October, Studio Choom actually recognized him as their Artist of the Month, and for that he gave a special performance as well. He didn't actually choreograph this one, but the fact that he was picked for it is huge. Not very many idols can say that they've been picked by Studio Choom and given that opportunity to perform with them. It's proof that the public is viewing him as this great figure of dance. Hyunjin continued to create on his own and stay at the center of Stray Kids. He wasn't going to surrender to kind of what people think he is. He wanted to continue to show that he's a lot more than that. In 2022, he continued to release songs that he's written, like Ice Cream or Love Untold, and we get to see more of that artistic representation within him. This certainly didn't mean he was throwing away that center stage and visual aspect though. We still see him at the center of a lot of songs, like in this year specifically Maniac and Maxident. Those songs are very interesting because the chorus of them, both of them start with Felix, and then in the second chorus Hyunjin takes it. He's the one that they're putting at the center to continue that energy and continue that interest because he too is a huge part of Stray Kids. And in the following years, he not only continued to write songs, but he also was recognized for the thing that most people will recognize him for immediately and build that up professionally instead of it just being a magnet sort of thing. In 2023, he was recognized by Versace. He was brought in as an ambassador for that. And because of that, he's become a huge part of their brand. Versace was looking to him to help boost their sales, obviously. They saw him as a valuable asset to help sell their products and to bring in more people from not only his face, but also from his actual performances and songwriting abilities. And so he's actually been recognized by a couple of luxury brands like Cartier or Givenchy Beauty, I think that's how you say. But this is a huge part of his career because he's obviously kind of embracing that aspect to him where he's not so much trying to push it away and prove that he has something else to offer. He's already done that. He's shown that he can dance perfectly fine. He's shown that he can sing exceptionally well, and he can also write music on top of it. And so now he's being brought in by those different luxury brands to help advertise for them. And all throughout this time, he's never really thrown away what he loves to do, which is performing. He's continued to perform throughout all of this, and he's never once given it up to, just be a model. And I think that resilience alone is a huge testament to who he is. Hyunjin has been able to prove to the people that looked onto him with almost like a shallow perspective that he is more than just a visual. He can also excel in those different skills. He's proven to them that he has more to offer and that they actually do enjoy those things. The people that viewed him as just that face now enjoy a lot of those songs that he creates or his performances. He didn't really have to stop being the visual to become an artist. He was able to bring it as something extra to what he can offer. And because of that, that's how he was able to excel in the K-pop industry. Han Ji-sung stands out in Stray Kids for his remarkable versatility, effortlessly mastering every role in the group. Whether that's his quick raps or emotional vocals, he assists in the success of Stray Kids greatly. Born on September 14, 2000, Ji-sung lived in South Korea for his early life. However, in 2009, his father believed it would be good for Ji-sung to have a wider knowledge about the world and be more open-minded, where he and his family moved to Malaysia. Because of this, he didn't attend regular schooling there for very long, opting for homeschooling instead. Due to his schooling situation, he grew up very curious about what standard public schooling was like. That curiosity helped drive him to being in love with TV dramas later in his life. 6 years later, in 2015, Han moved to South Korea and promised his parents that he would pass an audition with an entertainment company within a year. If he didn't succeed, he agreed to return to Malaysia. As part of this deal, he also committed to passing all 3 levels of the Korean qualification exam. That way he would be set up for college applications if he didn't pass any of his auditions. While in South Korea, Han trained at DEF Company, honing his dance, singing, and especially his rapping skills. During his time there, he decided to take a chance and audition for JYP Entertainment with a friend. He performed a rap for the audition, which was a success. JYPE invited him for a final audition, and after that, they offered him a spot as a trainee. Towards the end of 2016, Han, along with fellow trainees Chris and Changbin, formed a hip-hop unit called 3RACHA. The 3 began collaborating on music, each showcasing their unique rapping skills. Not long after, on January 18th, 2017, they released their first track, Intro, on SoundCloud, followed by its release on YouTube on February 1st. Throughout the year, 3RACHA continued to release new songs roughly every 2 weeks, 1 original song and 1 cover song, where they placed their own lyrics on existing beats. Late in the year, on October 17th, Han participated in Mnet's new survival show, Stray Kids, where 9 trainees competed in various missions to earn a spot in the final debut lineup. Han, going by the name Jisung during the show, was introduced as part of the production and rap unit alongside his fellow 3RACHA members. Throughout the show's 10 episodes, Jisung consistently impressed JYP Entertainment's chief creative officer, Park Jin-young, who notably praised his vocal abilities. Despite being primarily known as a rapper, Jisung's strong singing skills surprised JYP. During the 3rd episode, Jisung was given the opportunity to help another contestant, Jongin, improve his vocals. JYP instructed the trainees to split into groups of 3, and Jisung, along with Woojin, worked closely with Jongin to assist him in enhancing his singing skills. The 3 of them came together to write lyrics for the song School Life, a song about the life of someone in the Korean schooling system, an ironic theme for Han the homeschooler. Jisung has stated that the feelings and ideas he poured into the song came from those he saw through his friends, like Changbin, as well as TV dramas and films. This lack of true experience adds to his own songwriting skills, being able to not only write about another person's experiences, but also write about it in a way that listeners could relate to. School Life was later performed in the 4th episode, in which Jongin demonstrated his vocal skills again. With the new performance, JYP praised his improvement, displaying both Jisung and Woojin's abilities in coaching their fellow trainees' vocals. Jisung successfully made it through the entire show, never once being put at risk of elimination. It was clear that JYP was more than impressed by his wide range of skills as just a trainee. To commemorate their first song, 3RACHA released another song to SoundCloud on January 18th, 2018, the 1-year anniversary of Intro. The song, Start Line, would be one of the last songs uploaded to the 3RACHA account. A few months later, Jisung debuted under the stage name Han, being the only member of the group to use his surname as his stage name. Han officially debuted on March 25th, 2018, alongside his fellow 3RACHA members, Bangchan and Changbin. Together, they formed the core of Stray Kids' songwriting and production team. The day after their debut, Stray Kids released their first album, I Am Not, on March 26th, 2018, where Han was credited for writing 6 of the 7 tracks. Additionally, the album included an exclusive secret song only available on the physical CD, Mixtape Number 1. This song was a reworked version of a track Han had previously released with 3RACHA called Placebo, which originally came out on October 25th, 2017. On August 6th, 2018, Stray Kids released their second mini-album, I Am Who, which featured another hidden track, Mixtape Number 2. Unlike their previous hidden song, this track was a reworked version of one of 3RACHA's earlier cover songs. While the lyrics remained mostly the same, the song was given a completely new melody and style, reflecting the evolution of their music since their time as 3RACHA. A month later, on September 9th, Han and 3RACHA released an SKZ player performance to their new song, Zone. With this special performance, Jisung was able to demonstrate his rapping abilities again, even reuniting with his original crew. A little over a month later, Stray Kids released their conclusion to the I Am series, I Am You. Included on the physical version was another hidden track, titled Mixtape Number 3. This track was an original song of 3RACHA's, originally released on November 20th, 2017, under the name For You. On March 25th, 2019, exactly 1 year after their debut, Stray Kids began a new album series with the release of Clay 1 Miro. This album included the next hidden mixtape track, Mixtape Number 4, a reworked version of 3RACHA's song, Broken Compass, which had been released just before their survival show began. The album also featured a track titled 19, which Han wrote the lyrics of entirely himself. further highlighting his songwriting talent. In 19, Han reflects on his teenage years, expressing the bittersweet feelings of wanting time to slow down. He once wished for those years to pass quickly, but now feels nostalgic and even wishes they would disappear so he could stay in them longer. Although 19 was released in 2019, when Han would have officially turned 20 by Korean age standards, the song reveals his emotional connection to his teen years, showing how deeply he wanted to hold on to that time of his life. On March 31st, Stray Kids made their first appearance on the popular Korean TV show King of Masked Singer. Surprisingly, the first member to participate wasn't one of their main vocalists, but Han, who is primarily known as a rapper. On the show, Han performed 2 songs, a vocal performance of Me After You, and a rap performance of Half Moon. His participation showcased his versatility, proving that he not only excels in rapping, but also as a singer. On June 19th, Stray Kids released Clay 2 Yellow Wood, the second album in the Clay series. Unlike their previous albums, this one didn't feature a hidden track on the physical version, instead compiling all of 3ROCH's reworked mixtape songs. Later, on October 10th, Han appeared as a guest MC on Show Music Core. Just 18 days later, JYP Entertainment announced that Kim Woo-jin, one of Stray Kids' main vocalists, would be leaving the group due to personal reasons. Following Woo-jin's departure, Han, along with several other members, stepped up to fill the gap left in the group's vocal lineup. Despite his new singing responsibilities, Han remained focused on his songwriting. He was the only member of 3ROCH to contribute to the writing of the 6th track on their next album, Clay Levantir. The song, titled Sunshine, reflects Han's thoughts on life in the bustling city of Seoul. He emphasizes the importance of taking breaks and finding moments of peace, encouraging everyone to rest and enjoy the warmth of the sunshine. About a week after Levantir's release, Han was advised to take a hiatus due to him experiencing symptoms of anxiety in front of large crowds. It may seem like Jisung can do just about anything, but at the end of the day, he's still human and has his own struggles. With this hiatus, he lived out the message of sunshine, proving it truly is okay to take rest when it gets hard. The following year, on January 18th, Han and 3ROCH released their final song on SoundCloud, titled Carpe Diem. Though it was a very short track, lasting only 50 seconds, Han used the brief time to showcase his quick rapping skills. The song's title, Carpe Diem, is a Latin phrase that means seize the day or pluck the day. Through this song, Han expresses his desire to live in the present, marking a shift from his reflective, nostalgic themes he explored in Clay 1 Miro with the track 19, where he focused on holding on to that past. Now, with Carpe Diem, Han embraces a forward-looking mindset. A few months later, Stray Kids was set to release an opening and ending song for the Japanese anime series Tower of God. The opening song, Top, released to digital streaming platforms on April 28th, with the ending song, Slump, releasing a little over a week later on May 6th. Han is credited for writing the entirety of the lyrics for Slump, likely originally in Korean, and from there, KM Market assisted in translating the lyrics to Japanese. In an interview with Rolling Stone UK, Han speaks of the importance of Slump to him. He says in the interview, "It's a song that I wrote in a moment in my life when I was facing some difficulties, so it has a good meaning for me." The song, Slump, was recorded in 3 languages, Japanese, Korean, and English. Han discusses this, where he emphasizes how important he sees it, as it makes him feel he can touch even more people with the song. 2 days later, on May 8th, Han released his first SKZ Player song, Close, which he wrote all the lyrics of. In the music video description, Han shared insights into the inspiration behind the song. He explained that the idea came from a scene in the 2004 film, Closer, where 2 characters lock eyes on the street and feel an inexplicable attraction and excitement towards each other as strangers. This moment of connection sparked the concept for Close, showcasing Han's ability to draw creative inspiration from films and translate it into music. The following month, Stray Kids released their first full-length album, Go Live, featuring 14 tracks. Han wrote the lyrics for 2 of the songs, the previously released Slump, and a new track titled Another Day. On July 20th, Han collaborated with Lino to write a short duet song called Ice Americano. The following month, on August 23rd, Han performed a cover of Day 6's song, Congratulations, with Stray Kids' main vocalist, Seungmin. Through this cover, Han once again showcased his vocal abilities, proving that he was not only a skilled rapper, but also a capable singer who could harmonize with one of the group's best vocalists. On November 6th, Han released another SKZ record track titled I Got It, with lyrics written entirely by him. The song prominently featured his impressive rapping skills. On December 31st, Han participated in a special performance alongside ITZY's Leah and the boys' Juyeon. This performance gave Han a chance to display his rap abilities in a different setting, away from his usual Stray Kids members. With just 3 performers on stage, Han also showcased his
dance skills. While the choreography wasn't overly complex, his presence and energy allowed him to stand out during the performance. Han began 2021 with several SKZ player releases, starting with his song, Alien, on January 31st. The track begins with two notable quotes from animated films, Pixar's 2007 movie, Ratatouille, and Walt Disney's Zootopia. The first quote is from Ratatouille, where Remy says, "The only thing predictable about life is its unpredictability." The second quote is from Zootopia's city motto, "Anyone can be anything, you can be everything." While these quotes seem to be spoken by an external voice in the song, when the pitch is adjusted, it's revealed that Han himself voiced them. Listen to this.
The only thing predictable about life is its unpredictable ability. Anyone can be anything, you can be everything.
This subtle detail highlights that Han is delivering these uplifting messages to himself, encouraging perseverance and reminding himself to push forward in pursuit of his dreams. A few months later, Han released another SKZ player song titled Wish You Back, which he wrote all the lyrics for himself. Inspired by a 2016 film, Your Name, the song imagines an alternate bittersweet ending, differing from the film's happy ending. Han's creative reinterpretation highlights his ability to reimagine narratives and draw inspiration from the media he consumes. Additionally, Makoto Shinkai, the director of Your Name, noticed Han's work and publicly praised the song, calling it beautiful. On July 7th, Han, Seungmin, and Ian appeared in a short video series where they brainstormed ideas for their unit track, Gone Away. In the video, Han shared that he once struggled with feeling insecure about his voice, believing that it was too sharp and thin. However, recording regularly for 3ROCH's early songs and performing on Stray Kids' guide tracks helped him learn to appreciate his unique vocal quality. Seungmin even noted that Han's voice sets him apart, allowing him to establish his own distinctive sound. Gone Away was later released on August 23rd as part of Stray Kids' second full-length album, No Easy. Around the same time No Easy released, Han could be seen wearing an eye patch often due to picking up a sty, likely from bacteria on colored lenses he would wear or frequent use of makeup as an idol. Shortly after his recovery, he adopted a dog named Tama. The following year, on February 9th, 2022, he teamed up with Seungmin to cover another Day 6 song, Zombie. Jisung contributed his voice to the cover through his singing and melodic rap style. The following month, Han was again featured as a guest MC on Show Music Core on March 26th. On October 11th, shortly after the release of Maxident, Han appeared on Lee Moojin's service show, where he performed a jazz-influenced cover of Stray Kids' song, Case 143, along with 3 other covers. During the show, he shared that his father used to be in a rock band in his youth, which sparked Han's own interest in rock and related genres. Just 11 days later, on October 22nd, Han returned as a guest MC on Show Music Core, further showcasing his versatility and presence in various roles beyond performing with Stray Kids. On December 18th, Han participated in JYP Nation's 2022 performance, where he had a brief part but earned praise for his distinct vocal tone and line delivery, impressing both fans and casual viewers alike. He also performed alongside Dance Racha members Hyunjin and Felix. Though the choreography was relatively simple, Han demonstrated his ability to keep pace with the skilled dancers, ensuring that he stood out positively while complimenting their performances. On February 3rd, 2023, Han and the other 3ROCH members were promoted to regular members of Korea's Music Copyright Association, making Han the youngest K-pop idol to achieve this status. Currently, he has writing credits on 163 songs, placing him among the highest-ranking K-pop idols in songwriting credits. Additionally, Han contributed to writing Paradise for the Japanese girl group Need You. The track was featured as the theme song for Doraemon's Nobita Sky Utopia in 2023 and became the first 3ROCH-produced song to reach #1 on the Billboard Japan Hot 100. On May 18th, Stray Kids teased their upcoming third album, 5 Star, by revealing a track titled Top Line. This song immediately garnered attention for featuring the iconic Korean rapper and producer Tiger JK, who Han has admired as both a role model and inspiration throughout his life. In Top Line, Han follows Tiger JK's verse, showcasing a skill level that holds its own alongside his idol. Additionally, Tiger JK even appeared in the music video, where fans saw Han visibly thrilled at the chance to meet and collaborate with someone he has looked up to for years. On 5 Star, Han serves as a primary writer for 2 tracks, Get Lit and Collision. While Get Lit delivers an intense, aggressive hip-hop sound, Collision explores the vulnerability of pleading to save a relationship. Collision showcases Han's romantic side, using planets to describe the feeling of being left behind in love. Whether or not these emotions are personal, Han's ability to display them through his songwriting makes them deeply relatable and impactful. On August 13th, Seungmin released an SKZ record track titled Hold On, with Han credited as the sole lyricist. Later, on October 15th, Han teamed up with Lino to perform a duet titled Want So Bad. On December 31st, Han, along with Stray Kids, performed Top Line alongside Tiger JK. This performance was more than substantial for Han, as he went from merely admiring Tiger JK to rapping on the same song to even performing live with him. The following year, on March 8th, Han released the SKZ record track 13. The lyrics of 13 speak of reminiscing on the past and longing for what once was. The song was inspired by the exchange couple So Dong-jin and Sung Dong-hye, who got back together. Exchange is a Korean reality TV series in which 5 single men and 5 single women participated with their ex-lovers. The series revolves around the theme of trying to either get back together with their ex-lover or find a new romance. On March 25th, 2024, Han opened his personal Instagram account where he's previously shared short covers of various songs. Some of his notable covers include Steven Sanchez's Until I Found You, Dean Lewis's How Do I Say Goodbye, and The Walters' I Love You So. Through these covers, Han continues to showcase his musical talents, especially his guitar playing skills. In several of his covers, like Until I Found You, Ohyuk's soundtrack song, A Little Girl, and IBOM's Do You Want to Say Love, he performs while playing guitar. On April 27th, Han released an SKZ player track featuring Bae from NMIX. In the song, the two sing about feelings of isolation and the sense that time is passing too quickly. Shortly after, Han made his solo debut in the fashion world with a feature on the cover of W Korea's June issue, wearing pieces from the French luxury brand Balmain. This was his first solo magazine shoot, marking a milestone as it was sponsored by a high-end brand. On July 19th, Stray Kids released their mini-album, 8. The 6th track, Twilight, was predominantly written by Han, and like many of his other songs, centers around themes of longing and emptiness. Twilight became Han's first solo song to enter Billboard's World Digital Song Sales chart, where it debuted at number 10. Only 3 other tracks from 8 charted here alongside Twilight: the title track, Chick Chick Boom, Jam, and Mountains. Stray Kids was featured on the cover of Rolling Stone UK for their September issue. As a part of this feature, the magazine individually interviewed Han, where they published an article online claiming Han to be both an all-rounder, but more specifically, the all-rounder of Stray Kids. Through his years with both 3RACHA and Stray Kids, Han has shown an incredible range of talent and creativity, where he has revealed his softer, romantic side along the way.
This is Felix's voice in 2018.
여기 우리 구역 District 9.
And this is it now.
Make it right, we make it right.
How did he get from this to this? We're going to take a look into how he learned to use his voice better and display that with Stray Kids as he grew. The biggest thing that came first is he needed to understand how his voice actually operates. And the way his voice actually works, it's a mix of what he has naturally. He's naturally much lower, and he's using that control that he's built up to elevate it almost. We see that all the time when he's talking, but his performing voice is very different from his talking voice. And that comes from understanding how to control it a whole lot better, and that alone took an immense amount of time to learn. Felix's voice comes down to 2 main things. There's obviously the natural aspect of, well, that's just how his voice is. His voice is kind of naturally more on the lower end, and then also understanding kind of what the structure of it is and how he can control it to get it to that limit and kind of get it to that area where now we see it in the performances. It's very different from when he's actually just talking outside of the performance. A lot of it isn't actually about that he already has a very deep voice. A lot of it comes from understanding how to use it better and utilize it in the song. If he were to just talk in a performance, it would not sound great, and he had to figure that out, and he had to get it to that point where he understood how to control it in the best way possible that it can amplify it. And this is something that Stray Kids or 3RACHA have been experimenting with more as they've progressed over the years. Because the way they used to record it earlier on is it was just once. It wasn't like they only recorded once and they go with that, but they actually only had one solid take that they used in the song, versus later on they learned about more layering, and they can take multiple different performances that are very similar and very strong and almost like mix them in, where in different songs you'll be able to hear there's obviously the main one that you're going to focus on more, but there's also areas on the side that are going to amplify and expand on that sound. By layering it, it's going to feel much more grand, and it's going to feel like it's much larger than it actually is. So what he's doing actually is he's usually going to rap at 2 different pitches. There's going to be the main one that we hear most of the time during the song, and then there's going to be a little quieter one underneath that. Just a little bit lower in a tone, but you feel it a whole lot more in the song. It's a very small change, but it feels a lot different. And so what he's actually doing is he's recording it... And so what he's actually doing is he's not recording it at just the one pitch that we hear personally, he's usually going to record it at a lower pitch as well, where they can layer it in, usually at a more quieter side, but it expands on that deep voice and it makes it feel much more grand and it hits you a lot stronger. Probably one of the strongest examples of this is Maniac, one of their most popular songs. In the chorus of it, I think everyone's familiar with the chorus, Felix is almost chanting Maniac very lowly. Probably the most memorable part of the song is the chorus, and specifically Felix's part, where he's going very low with his voice, but it's not just his voice there. He's also got different recordings around it, where only when he says Maniac, you can feel it expand around you. This is a big mixing thing where they're putting in different areas of the Maniac so that it feels like it hits you a whole lot more. Next time you have headphones, I really recommend you listen to Maniac with them. Just pay attention in the chorus to feel those different areas expanding, because you're really going to only notice it when he says Maniac. When he says the little words in between and then goes back to Maniac, you're not going to feel it in between. It's thin again, so it expands only when he's saying Maniac, and that's what makes it hit you so hard there. So it's really interesting to see them expanding that and working on it as they grow. Another big part of his voice and his actual control of it is being able to keep the same tone even while whispering. And that might not sound super hard immediately, but I mean, if I were to try and whisper and go a little super low, you could hear how my voice doesn't expand very well. It sounds kind of lame. But like, he's not doing that. When you hear him whisper, it's very clear. And that wasn't something that he just figured out immediately. This was something he had to learn and grow on. This was something that he had to experiment with and figure out how to do correctly. Because quite a lot of people will lose their power when they're whispering. I think it's a mix of really what understanding a whisper is. When we think about a whisper, we think, oh, well, we gotta be quiet now. So it's reprogramming the brain to work in a different way simply for performing it better. I've talked about this before, and it's a very unfavorable opinion, I guess. But I don't really care for Felix's part in Victory Song. I don't think it's that good, honestly. I think the biggest thing is what we're talking about right now. His voice there is very thin. It's just one recording, and there's nothing to it. It's very quiet. It's clear that he's still trying to figure out how to use that whispery tone and make it powerful. Because at this point, back in 2019, he didn't really have these large roles of displaying his deep voice in such power. I mean, looking back, this was just their 4th mini album, so they were kind of just figuring it out still. They didn't really know what to do with it. I'm sure that 3ROTCHA likely had the idea to have Felix go as low as he can with the song, but they didn't quite understand how to utilize it the best that they could. And we see them utilizing it a whole lot more the following year with God's Menu. That portion, you can actually feel the layering in it, of course, but he also understands how to use that whispery tone and use it in a way that still feels powerful. Because truthfully, it doesn't hit quite the same way without that power. You could go as low as you could. I mean, it might be kind of cool, but it's not gonna leave you remembering it. I think that's the reason that Victory Song didn't take off, but God's Menu did. That's the part where it felt like there was a huge change in that, and you felt that power immediately. Which kind of leads me into the next thing I realized about his voice. More recently, in the past few years, we've been hearing Felix actually singing in quite a lot of songs. But what's interesting about it is his singing voice sounds different almost. It sounds like it's a different person. I mean, you look at his solo songs and you could show it to anyone not familiar with the group or with Felix, they're probably gonna think it's 2 different people. I mean, I certainly did when I heard Deep End for quite a while. It took me a couple of months before I realized, oh, that's just Felix doing all that. I remember searching around to try and find who that other person could be. I looked at who was writing on the song. There was no other performers listed. And it took me kind of a while to just grasp that concept that Felix has such varying identities with his vocals. Because Felix has both of that deep baritone voice, and he's also got the ability to go higher with it and almost bring it into a different kind of tone. He can lighten up different songs, and he can also darken them in certain ways. And it's that kind of duality that allows him to add more texture to the song and bring them to life even more. It's certainly one thing to be able to drop your voice very low, like that's already very impressive, but to also be able to bring it up in a way that you can sing very well and make it sound like different people, it gives the song even more contrast and even more depth to it. Now Felix, when he first started, he certainly didn't have this vocal ability. This is something that he had to develop over the years. He didn't debut as a vocalist, he was more so on the rap side of things. That's not to say he never sang. We do see him sing a couple of times, like in his Glow performance. He's actually complimented for singing very well by JYP. So before he even debuted, he had that groundwork in place to be a singer that can use two different voices. Some of the major songs that Felix is being pushed into the center are like Side Effects. That was probably the earliest one of their title tracks that he was at the center of. Obviously there was Victory Song a few months earlier, but that wasn't necessarily a title track. Side Effects was kind of their first chance at trying to weaponize his voice and use it as something that could be obviously a highlight. I think 3RACHA very much so understood that Felix had something very interesting that they could leverage and use as a weapon, like I said. However, at this time, he was very narrowed in. Obviously his part is certainly quite interesting on its own, but it wasn't quite the contrast they needed for it to excel. His parts were certainly good, but they weren't necessarily memorable quite yet. And I think a lot of that just comes down to overall confidence and understanding that control. He didn't quite have that control of his voice quite yet, and that needed time to develop. And this is also kind of why I think his part in Side Effects didn't go viral, and his part in God's Menu did. With God's Menu, they kind of shifted it from being just a guy with a deep voice to being at the center of it. I think his part in God's Menu was written to focus right on him. It was a very loud song, very aggressive, very continued song, and then following that chorus, they drop right down into his part where the instruments almost go entirely away. And now that he understood that contrast and how to control it better, he was able to elevate the song like they had hoped for him to do. That's the moment that let him obviously explode Stray Kids and also show that 3RACHA understands what they're doing with Felix. This moment gives the audience a bit of a breather from the aggressive intro and chorus. It clicks in the brain that something different is happening now. You can feel the shift from the louder stuff down to that quieter stuff where Felix is right at the center with his voice, that interesting point, and he's controlling it exceptionally well. What I also find interesting is that God's Menu was not at all his deepest instance of his voice. We had obviously Victory Song, which was much lower, Side Effects was much lower, but it didn't quite hit the same in those songs. I think that it's less about having such a low voice and actually having it structured around his voice. The song needs to be leaning into it a little bit more where it feels like something actually shifting and you can feel that development within him. That's actually kind of why I would say there's almost three pillars to Felix's voice, where there's the contrast and the dynamics of that. Take for example like Maniac or Domino, or even a solo song Deep End, where you start with something louder and then Felix gets the control of the lower portion. Or in the case of Deep End, it's actually him. He's actually contrasting himself with the brighter voice and then his actual deeper voice that he's most known for. Essentially what he's doing is he's controlling the shape of the song. We can physically see this happening online. If you go on YouTube and look at the actual song music videos, we see in Maniac, the most replayed portion is his part. We could see that highlighted by the graph. Right as he comes in, there's a huge spike in people looking back. A lot of people want to go back and hear his part, not because of how deep his voice is, but because of how it comes in and how it shifts from how it was before. Domino, you can't see it as well because Domino doesn't have a music video, but there's definitely a bit of a spike going up there. It's a little bit harder to see since it is such a short video, but that alone highlights his contrast and how not only he understands, but how 3RACHA understands how to contrast with his voice. I think that had Maniac began with the louder chorus and not actually dropped down after that pre-chorus, it wouldn't have hit as hard. It's important that Felix gets the more lower end kind of portions where he can use that contrast. He can take the energy that was high and drop it down immediately. That's what gets your attention, and that's what keeps you listening and keeps you hooked. The second main pillar I would consider him to have is obviously identity. He's kind of the sound of Stray Kids now. I mean, you could talk about the deep voice in K-pop and pretty much everyone will recognize that as Felix. He's got that identity down where people just understand him as that, but not because he's got the lowest voice in K-pop, but because he's able to control it and use it in a way that obviously contrasts, like I said before, but expands on his own personal identity. On the same album as Ordinary, they use it again pretty well. I'd say in Charmer, his part in the second verse is great. You go from kind of a faster flow and rap to much of a slower and paced down portion for Felix. And that allows you to feel a big change coming. You feel something hitting without there actually being much hitting. It's kind of nothing that hits you, but somehow that nothing hits so hard. I would honestly argue that Stray Kids' signature sound is built around him, where I wonder if Maniac would have never been written had he not been in the group. What do I mean by that? I think that Maniac was intended to have that low portion in the chorus. Had Felix not been in the group and not inspired them to take something like that with such a low voice, I don't think it would have ever happened. Now, look, I could be wrong. I'm not 3RACHA. I really do think that without Felix in the group, it wouldn't have hit as hard, obviously, and it probably wouldn't have ever been written. I think that Felix's voice and understanding what they can do with that voice inspires a lot of their songs. Not so much about like, oh, well, Felix's voice inspired the entire concept of Maniac. I don't mean that much entirely, but like the actual structure of the song is kind of what comes down to his voice. I think that loops back to God's Menu as well, where had Felix not been in the group, had he not had that very low aspect to his voice, they might not have put in something quite like that in the song. And it's because of those two things, his contrast and also his personal identity, that allows for his third pillar, which is memorability. His parts aren't standalone things. They're things that people will remember even after they hear it the first time. Dare I even say they remember it seconds after. They're thinking back to that part that just happened even while the song is still progressing. This is something that people have called the Felix effect, where Felix's voice or his just personality in general attract people immensely. He's probably the biggest member of Stray Kids for actually attracting in new audiences, where people just notice him so quickly and latch onto him so much more. And that's not to say that the other members don't have their own qualities, but Felix has his down in a way that expands on what Stray Kids is. His own qualities are built into the group on their own. What makes it work even better is that you like that one part of Maniac? Oh, well, good for you. We have 5 other songs that have a similar structure where we highlight his voice in that same way. Oh, you love those songs now? Perfect, good. Now you're gonna listen to my music and now you're gonna buy my album. So it all kind of snowballs into something where he's bringing them in based on the sound that Stray Kids have developed, and he's also expanding it on his own. And I think that's what let Stray Kids elevate their noise so much. It gave almost a balance to it, where it gave them something they can bench on if they ever get a little bit too loud with their sound. Say the chorus they want is very explosive, but they don't want it to be too in your face, just enough that people will recognize it and be able to listen to it enough, but also give it something extra, something memorable too, leading up to it even more. And so truthfully, Stray Kids' sound couldn't evolve had Felix not evolved first. Had Felix stuck with just the simpler tones and also 3RACHA stuck with not layering the voice, it wouldn't have worked in quite the same way that it does now. One last thing that I find kind of interesting, I don't know how important it actually is, but like, I find it very interesting that Felix looks like this, and then his voice is very deep. So it's a very large surprise for when you're finding out about him and you see him for the first time, because it doesn't match. Again, it comes back to that contrast. Like, there's something right about his, obviously his appearance and his voice that grabs you in. It takes you deeper to learning more about him. You don't stop at just hearing his voice and thinking it's amazing, you also learn more about him, and I think that's kind of what's grown him to the success that he has on his own, but also within Stray Kids. I think that he's become the face of Stray Kids because of his voice and because of what he's learned.
And Felix Lee is widely recognized in K-pop for his deep voice, which has played a key role in his success. Beyond his unique vocal tone, Felix also stands out for his presence in the fashion industry and his impressive dance skills. Felix was born in Australia on September 15th, 2000. His grandfather chose his middle name, Youngbok, which he would later use as his Korean name. Felix grew up in the Sydney area, leading him to develop freckles on his face from the strong rays of the sun. He participated in Taekwondo while he was growing up, studying the martial arts for 12 years. On top of learning Taekwondo, he also competed in tournaments where he earned a total of 63 medals. During the upper half of his childhood, he began taking dance classes. While he was studying at the dance school, he was scouted by a woman from JYP Entertainment who later reached out to Felix through a direct message on Facebook. She invited him to a shooting, however, Felix wasn't sure what to think of it. His boss from the dance academy advised him to take up her offer and attend the shooting. Felix successfully passed JYP Entertainment's auditions and was invited to join the company. He moved to South Korea and officially joined on February 24th, 2017. Since the Korean language, Hangul lacks the character for the F sound in his name. He was often called Felix. To adapt, he started using his middle name, Youngbuk, which was given to him by his grandfather, and went by Lee Youngbuk, a name that fit more naturally in Korean. Despite his choice, JYP Entertainment wasn't supportive, as Youngbuk is now considered an old-fashioned or hillbilly name in Korea, something Felix was unaware of. With his strong background in dance and taekwondo, Felix's training period was relatively short before he appeared as a JYP trainee. On August 22nd, he performed with 8 other trainees at JYP's Homecoming showcase under the temporary group name Male Project Team. Just over a month later, they reappeared as Stray Kids and released their first music video on YouTube on October 6th. 11 days later, Felix appeared on a JYP and Mnet survival show called Stray Kids. Throughout the show, he faced frequent criticism, particularly for his Korean skills, which impacted his rapping. Having only been in South Korea for a few months, his Korean was still limited. In the 3rd episode, Felix lost a bet and had to order food for his unit mates, Lino and Changbin. They encouraged him to practice his Korean by ordering chicken from the restaurant himself. Though he struggled, he successfully placed the order and picked up the food. On December 5th, in the 8th episode, Stray Kids were tasked to perform a live busking performance. Additionally, JYP sent out 2 scouts, 2PM's Jun K and producer Rado, to judge their performance from the crowd. Leading up to their performance, Felix was feeling overly nervous as he had previously been on watch from JYP for elimination. Those nerves led him to consistently make mistakes in both his rap and dance during their practices. While performing their new song, Ya Ya Ya, at their busking event, Felix unfortunately made a mistake in his dance performance, where he was meant to balance on Woojin and Jungin a little longer. At the end of the episode, the scouts shared their thoughts on the Stray Kids members, and JYP made his decision regarding the group's future. He felt it would be best for Felix to continue training at the company separately from Stray Kids due to his limited Korean skills and recent dance mistake. Felix's elimination devastated the remaining members, especially Bang Chan, his fellow Australian, who promised Felix he would never leave him behind and urged him to always find him. Near the end of the 9th episode, JYP revealed that he didn't feel the same spark and energy in Stray Kids as he initially did, associating it with them just clicking together stronger when they're the full 9-member group. Because of this, JYP decided to give Mino and Felix another chance and let the viewers decide in a live finale. The viewers voted in favor of the 9-member lineup, a whopping 96% to 4. It was clear even if Felix had his mistakes now and then, the fans would love him regardless and always support him. With the final vote, he was accepted into the final lineup of Stray Kids and given the opportunity to debut, having the 2nd shortest training period with JYP Entertainment in the group. The following year, on March 25th, 2018, Felix made his debut in Stray Kids with a performance at Jangchung Arena. Despite the possible language difficulties, he decided to use his English name, Felix, as his stage name. Additionally, he kept Youngbuk as his Korean name, one that fans exceptionally loved and found cute, despite JYPE's initial opinions. The next day, Felix and Stray Kids released their first album, I Am Not. Just a few months later, on August 6th, Stray Kids released their follow-up album, I Am Who. The album features an intro track titled Who, which Felix co-wrote with Woojin and Han. The song reflects the album's theme of finding yourself at your own pace, even if it's different from the people around you. 20 days later, on August 26th, Felix joined Lino and Hyunjin for a dance performance video, forming the dance unit, Dance Racha. Felix played a key role in choreographing the performance, as well as guiding the camera work. The SKZ player performance showcased his growth in dance since his training days. In 8 months since the survival show, his dance skills had vastly improved, with his movements looking significantly smoother and more defined. On March 25th, 2019, the 1-year anniversary of their debut, Stray Kids released Clay One Miro. The 5th track on the album was titled Boxer and showcased Felix's prior taekwondo skills in the choreography. At the tip of the 2nd pre-chorus, Felix performs a tornado kick, both a very powerful kick and a difficult one. Felix makes it look easy though, thanks to his prior 12 years of experience. The 2nd album in the Clay series, Clay 2 Yellow Wood, released just a few months later on June 19th. The album featured Side Effects as its title track, prominently showcasing Felix's unique lower vocal tone. His voice can be especially heard in the final chorus, as he leads with almost no background instrumentation.
머리 아프다.
On July 1st, Felix became the MC for the Korean TV program Pops in Seoul. The TV series differed from other programs, as it was prominently an English program, making Felix the Aussie a perfect fit. In the show, he went over various topics, such as current news in K-pop, provided tips for K-pop fans, and even taught viewers how to do dances to popular K-pop songs. He served as an MC through all of 2019 until January of 2020, where he inevitably stepped down as MC. Being fluent in English, Felix and Bang Chan often take the lead in American interviews. One memorable appearance was on February 13th, when Stray Kids was featured as guests on The Zach Sang Show. Felix's multilingual ability helped him stand out without overshadowing the other members, allowing him to engage with the audience while still highlighting the group's collective presence.
During the interview, host Zach Sang praised Felix's deep voice, noting the strong impact it has, even on people who aren't dedicated fans. A few months later, on June 17th, Stray Kids released their first full-length album, Go Live. The title track, God's Menu, featured Felix's voice prominently in both the second verse and the bridge. His part in the second verse particularly stood out, as the contrast between the otherwise loud, aggressive song and his low, whisper-like vocals highlighted his voice more than ever before. The impact was more than clear, with the God's Menu music video reaching 66 million views within just 28 days, 16 million more than their previous title track, Levanter, had accumulated in almost 5 years. As of now, God's Menu holds the record as Stray Kids' most watched music video, with over 480 million views. With the success of God's Menu, Stray Kids gained more attention, and new listeners often referred to Felix as the guy that sings that one part, recognizing his deep voice in key moments of songs. This included his standout parts in tracks like the previously released Side Effects, as well as future hits like Maniac and Case 143. Additionally, Go Live sold 70,000 more copies in its first month than their previous album, Clay Levanter. While Clay Levanter sold 182,300 copies in its first month, Go Live sold 243,462 copies in the same time frame. Felix's vocal performance certainly played a significant role in helping Stray Kids reach the level of success they claim today. On August 4th, Felix released his first vlog, in which he and his fellow Aussie, Bangchan, baked one of his iconic recipes, coffee cookies. In his free time, Felix enjoys baking. One of Stay's favorite recipes follows a similar structure, that being brownies infused with coffee powder, just like the cookies Felix and Bangchan made. On September 14th, Stray Kids released their first repackaged album, In Life. The album featured tracks written by each Raja unit in Stray Kids, with Felix's unit, Dance Raja, writing the 7th track, Wow. Wow has since become the most played song of the 3 In Life unit tracks. Later, on November 25th, Hyunjin and Felix were featured in a promotional film for Dior's new sneakers, B27. Days Korea included a short comment in the description in which they described the duo as being capable of perfectly displaying the essence of Stray Kids through their moves. On December 9th, Felix began a new ASMR series called 801 Stay FM. Fans and members alike had often joked that Felix's voice was perfect for ASMR, and this series was his gift to Stay, who had shown immense appreciation for his voice throughout the year. The series included 4 episodes, with a new one released every other week until January 20th, 2021. Before the year ended, Felix gave one final performance on December 31st, alongside the boys' Younghoon and G-Idol's Woodsy at MBC's 2020 Music Festival. The trio delivered a summer-inspired performance, where ironically, Felix's iconic deep voice was not the focus. Instead, he showcased his singing skills, surprising many with his noticeably different vocal tone, a shift from his usual deep, low voice to a higher, cutesier sound. On the same day, Stray Kids released their annual Step Out video, where they share their goals for the upcoming year. Unlike their previous Step Out 2019 and Step Out 2020 videos, which were text-only, Step Out 2021 featured Felix narrating. Using his well-loved voice, he walked viewers through the group's achievements in 2020 and outlined their goals for 2021. South Korea celebrates Valentine's Day slightly different from places around the world. In South Korea, Valentine's Day is reserved for women to give guys gifts, rather than it going both ways. The guys later give back to those that gifted them on March 14th, known as White Day. Felix collaborated with Changbin to release a song on White Day. The two of them worked together to write the song because on April 1st, Stray Kids joined Mnet's new reality TV series, Kingdom Legendary War. Later, in the 8th episode, which aired on May 20th, they delivered a remix performance of their hit song, God's Menu, with Blackpink's Doo 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 Doo. The performance opened with Felix spotlighted in a Deadpool costume, a nod to the popular Marvel anti-hero. Deadpool first appeared in a comic book on December 11th, 1990, and later in Fox's X-Men Origins Wolverine from 2009. However, fans were disappointed with this portrayal. 7 years later, Fox reintroduced the character in the 2016 film Deadpool, with Canadian actor Ryan Reynolds reprising the role. Felix started the performance by sitting on a ledge with his feet dangling, while drawing and listening to the radio, an homage to Deadpool's opening scene. Initially, JYP Entertainment declined the request to incorporate Deadpool's likeness into the performance, but Stray Kids leader, Bangchan, insisted on it, feeling that the character resonated with the group's identity. Eventually, JYP approved the idea, placing Felix in the spotlight as Deadpool, bringing a unique twist to their stage performance. The performance caught Ryan Reynolds' attention on Twitter, leading him to interact with Stray Kids, and most notably their leader, Bangchan. The final episode of Kingdom Legendary War aired on June 3rd, and to commemorate the finale, Felix baked his famous coffee cookies for his fellow contestants. 16 days later, on June 19th, Felix joined Bangchan, Changbin, and Seungmin on the SKZ player track Up All Night, contributing his unique vocal tone to complement the song's contrasting styles. On July 23rd, Felix was featured in his first solo pictorial and interview, featuring on GQ Korea's August issue, marking one of Stray Kids' earliest solo magazine features. A week later, he appeared on GQ Korea's YouTube channel for an interview, showcasing his charm and personality individually for fans. On September 16th, Felix joined Lino and Hyunjin, his fellow Dance Racha members, in Etro's luxury fashion campaign. The promotional film emphasized their dance skills, allowing Felix to display his versatility beyond standard performances. On October 21st, he was featured in both a fashion film and pictorial, making his first solo cover appearance for the November issue of Star One magazine. Just over a month later, on November 29th, Stray Kids released their first seasonal themed album, Christmas Evil, where Felix's iconic deep voice played a major role. His parts in the title track, specifically in the first chorus and ending refrain, became an instant hit on social media. Even those unfamiliar with Stray Kids found themselves drawn to Felix's distinctive voice, with his lines frequently used in holiday-themed content. This exposure introduced new listeners to Felix's charms and encouraged them to explore more Stray Kids music. Stray Kids released Step Out 2022 on December 31st, which featured Felix's voice like last year. However, he also acted in the announcement video, where it was themed like a CEO of a company going over their newest products. This theme presents Felix at the front of Stray Kids, celebrating their accomplishments in 2021 and announcing their plans for 2022. Felix began 2022 with another pictorial and interview, this time with Singles Korea on January 19th. 8 days later, Singles Korea released a behind-the-scenes film to their Instagram account. Later, on February 9th, JYP Entertainment put out an announcement regarding Felix. They mentioned how he had previously been experiencing back pain and was diagnosed with an intervertebral disc herniation. It's unlikely he had any surgeries performed for it, and rather took medication while resting. At the end of the month, on February 27th, Stray Kids announced their next album, Ordinary, accompanied by a trailer that centers on Felix making his way up through the floors of a skyscraper. The album was later released on March 18th, marking a special moment just 1 week before the group's 4th debut anniversary. Its title track, Maniac, quickly became one of Stray Kids' most popular songs, reaching over 320 million plays on Spotify. Felix's distinctive deep voice stands out in the song, especially in the first chorus and post-bridge. During Maniac's promotional stages, Felix managed his injury by taking a selective approach to his performances. He delivered his lines and then stepped aside, reducing his movements but still maintaining his presence. This style allowed him to stay involved, though it required a high level of focus to ensure he hit each cue and returned to the main stage at the right moments. A few months later, on June 24th, Twice member Nayeon began her solo career with a mini-album titled I'm Nayeon. The second track, No Problem, featured Felix for his vocalistic talents, showcasing his abilities outside of Stray Kids' signature sound. Shortly after Maxinus' release, Felix and Bangchan were featured on Eric Nam's Daebak show, in which they tried sauces, and Felix reveals he was confused about how Michelin stars work, believing the max star count was 5 instead of 3, thanks to his iconic God's Menu line. On December 21st, Stray Kids released SKZ Replay, a compilation album featuring previously released SKZ player songs along with the new tracks. Included were some of Felix's earlier collaborations, like Because and Up All Night, as well as 2 brand new contributions he helped write for the album. The 7th track of SKZ Replay, Deep End, marks one of Felix's solo pieces. Co-written with producer Shim Eun-ji, structured as a piano ballad, Deep End explores the lingering weight of heartbreak, comparing the sensation to sinking in a pool. Felix's diverse use of vocal tone adds depth to the song's minimal instrumentation, with his lower tones creating a unique contrast that amplifies the song's emotional descent. His vocal range led many listeners to wonder if a second singer was featured, showcasing his ability to layer contrasting vocal colors within a single performance. The 10th track, Love Stay, is a full group song. Felix, Hyunjin, and Ayan wrote the track with producer Kim Se-mi, again displaying his experience with songwriting. 10 days later, on December 31st, Felix provided a voiceover for Step Out 2023, which was themed inside of a bedroom and pinball machine. The following year, on January 30th, 2023, Felix was featured in an interview with Beauty Plus Korea magazine as part of his cover feature for their February issue. His photo shoot with Beauty Plus was sponsored by the French luxury brand Kenzo, placing Felix in the brand's clothing. This photo shoot was more than substantial for him, as a luxury brand was placing their faith in Felix to help them market their brand. On March 24th, BTS's Jimin released his mini-album, Face. To promote the album, Jimin appeared on Pixiv's YouTube channel on March 26th for a game. During the game, one contestant shared that, while she had been a dedicated BTS fan, Felix's deep voice and Maniac had stolen her attention. In response, Jimin jokingly called out to Felix, using his Korean name, Youngbook, saying he'd bring her back to the BTS fandom for a bit. This mention surprised Felix, as he holds great admiration for BTS's members, making the interaction especially memorable for him. Felix later responded to Jimin's message by performing a dance cover to Like Crazy on March 31st. Felix appeared on the cover of Elle Korea's May issue with a photo shoot sponsored by Louis Vuitton. His month was packed with fashion events. He attended Louis Vuitton's Women's Pre-Fall 2023 show on May 1st, followed by Gentle Monster's grand opening in Japan on May 10th. On May 20th, he joined Levi's celebration for their 150th anniversary of their iconic 501 jeans. To wrap up the month, Felix attended Louis Vuitton's Women's Cruise 2024 show in Italy on May 27th, further solidifying his presence in the luxury fashion world. In June, W Korea featured Felix on their cover, with the shoot sponsored once again by Kenzo. Shortly after, on June 2nd, Stray Kids released their third full-length album, 5 Star, which included the track F&F, or Flora and Fauna. Co-written by Felix, Bangchan, and producer Trippy, F&F is a heartfelt tribute to their home country, Australia. On June 27th, Felix attended Bulgaria's Serpentine 75 exhibit with Mama Muswasa. His influence in fashion was solidified on August 22nd when Louis Vuitton named him as a house ambassador, a role that highlights his growing prominence in luxury fashion. In September, Stray Kids made an appearance at the VMAs in the United States, where they performed their latest track, S-Class, and took home the award for Best K-Pop Music Video. With over 3.5 million viewers tuned into the show, this was an incredible opportunity for the group to gain international exposure. Felix in particular drew attention from new fans, with many asking about the blonde guy on stage. Following this success, Felix attended Louis Vuitton's Women's Spring-Summer 2024 show in Paris on October 2nd. A few days later, on October 8th, Stray Kids released a trailer for their upcoming album, Rockstar, with Felix and leader Bangchan delivering the trailer's voiceover. On October 30th, Felix appeared in the music video for Niju's Korean single, Hearttress, where he played a high school student, in which Niju tried to get his fluffy keychain. November was a busier month too, with Felix featured on W Korea's digital cover, sponsored by Louis Vuitton. Towards the end of the month, he took part in W Korea's 18th annual Love Your W campaign on November 24th. Just 6 days later, on November 30th, Felix attended Louis Vuitton's pre-fall show by Pharrell Williams and appeared on GQ Korea's YouTube channel for an interview promoting his December cover. The following week, he attended GQ Korea's night party on December 7th. For Christmas, Felix joined Niju in a festive performance of their song, Hearttress. A week later, on December 31st, he delivered another special Christmas performance, this time on MBC, alongside his fellow Dance Raja members, Lino and Hyunjin. Together, they presented a charming, dance-centered rendition of White Love, delighting fans with their playful and coordinated moves. As 2024 was beginning, Felix donated 100 million Korean won to help children in Laos suffering from poor sanitation and nutrition through UNICEF on January 4th. Around the same time, he was given a break lasting 3 weeks. Felix stated he felt unfulfilled from simply donating and decided to use that time to travel to Laos to help serve those same children. UNICEF took the opportunity to document it, uploading 3 episodes to their Korean YouTube channel. Shortly after, he donated an additional 50 million won to UNICEF, as well as 50 million won to World Vision. Following his service in Laos, he was featured on Vogue Korea's digital cover, sponsored by Bulgari Perfume. On March 5th, Felix made his runway debut at Louis Vuitton's Paris Fashion Week Women's Fall-Winter 2024 show. This was a notable milestone, as K-pop idols appearing on the runway is incredibly rare, with most featured as models rather than runway performers. Felix shared that he felt extremely nervous leading up to the show, but received support from model Jung Ho-yeon, who reassured him and offered guidance on what to do. The following month, Felix continued his impact in fashion, appearing on Harper's Bazaar Japan's physical cover and Harper's Bazaar Korea's digital cover for April. On May 2nd, Stray Kids released a teaser for their collaboration single, Lose My Breath. In the trailer, Felix provides a voiceover, narrating and setting the scene for the song and music video. Later that month, he attended Louis Vuitton's Women's Cruise 2025 show in Barcelona on May 27th. Shortly after, Felix was featured on Vogue's main YouTube channel with over 15 million subscribers. The video follows Felix as he prepares for the Louis Vuitton show, offering a behind-the-scenes look and an interview that highlights his experiences and insights as he gets ready for the event. On June 18th, Stray Kids released a trailer for their upcoming album, 8. As part of the album's promotion, they shared short videos featuring each member acting as TV ad hosts, humorously selling 8 fortune cookies. Only one of these ads was included in the trailer, with Felix's video prominently showcased at the very start. A few weeks later, Felix co-hosted an Apple Music exclusive radio show all about Stray Kids Radio, alongside his fellow Aussie, Bangchan. On July 17th, Felix also appeared on Radio Star, an NBC program, marking one of his first solo TV interviews where he represented Stray Kids on his own. Just a few days later, on July 19th, 8 was released, with Felix contributing as a co-writer on the 5th track, Runners. In the same day, Marvel Korea released a special interview between Felix, Bang Chan, and Hollywood actors Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman. This interview was particularly meaningful for Felix, who once portrayed Deadpool in Kingdom Legendary War and now had the chance to interview the original Deadpool actor himself, Ryan Reynolds. Later, on September 8th, Felix attended Tommy Hilfiger's Spring-Summer 2025 show at New York Fashion Week alongside his fellow Dance Racha member, Lino. Felix was then featured on the cover of Elle Korea's November issue, accompanied by a concept film as part of the promotion. Both the cover and film were sponsored by Louis Vuitton. Throughout his 7 years as a K-pop idol, Felix has demonstrated not only his charisma, but also his skills through his fashion presence and global praise. Felix has steadily built a name for himself in the fashion industry, starting even before his official debut as a K-pop idol. On February 27th, 2018, he made his fashion debut alongside Stray Kids in Changbin's Glow in Color campaign. This early appearance hinted at both Felix's and the group's potential as fashion icons. Throughout 2018, Stray Kids continued to gain attention in the fashion world, being featured in well-known magazines like Days Korea and Nylon Korea. These pictorials included both group and solo appearances, giving Felix valuable opportunities to develop his individual modeling skills and gain on-set experience. His consistent involvement laid the groundwork for what would become a successful fashion journey, eventually leading to global recognition with luxury brands. In 2019, Stray Kids continued building their presence in the fashion world, with features in magazines like Marie Claire Korea and Days Korea. By 2020, the group began branching out into more individual and duo features. That January, Felix and Ian appeared together in Marie Claire Korea, marking a notable step in their fashion careers. Although the pictorial included 8 images, only one featured both members together. The rest showcased Felix and Ian separately, highlighting their individual styles. Felix stood out by modeling 2 contrasting looks. One was a playful, brightly colored knit sweater paired with blue jean overalls, while the other had a more mature vibe, featuring a loose gray turtleneck under a sleek, sleeveless black jacket. This photo shoot reflected Felix's versatility and growing reputation, not just as a model, but as a rising influence in the fashion industry. On September 17th, Felix was featured in a Dispatch HD pictorial alongside his Dance Racha unit members. This shoot allowed Felix to further broaden his fashion appeal, showcasing both group synergy and his individual charm, especially highlighted by his striking blue contact lenses, which added a bold visual twist. Just 2 months later, on November 25th, Felix appeared in a fashion film by Days Korea with fellow member Hyunjin. In the video's description, the magazine wrote, "Hyunjin and Felix, born in 2000, presenting the moves and essence of Stray Kids in Dior Men's new sneakers B27. It recognized how Felix and Hyunjin had grown into figures capable of representing the full energy and identity of Stray Kids, just the two of them. It also marked a milestone in Felix's fashion journey, showing that he had reached a level where he could confidently present high-end products for a luxury brand like Dior. The focus on unit photo shoots continued strongly into 2021. In January, Felix appeared on a pictorial for Elle Korea alongside Bang Chan, Hyunjin, and Han. During the shoot, he wore several luxury fashion pieces, including a purple bomber jacket and printed shirt from Celine, paired with Dior earrings, further solidifying his presence in the high fashion scene. One standout photo prominently highlighted his natural freckles, a rare sight among K-pop idols. These freckles, a result of growing up under the warm Australian sun, added a unique and personal touch to his visual identity, setting him apart in an industry often focused on uniform beauty standards. The following month, Felix and Hyunjin were once again featured as a duo, this time in a pictorial for Arena Home Plus. The shoot highlighted their refined and elegant side, dressing them in luxurious outfits that emphasized their growing influence in the fashion world. Later in 2021, Felix reached a major milestone by making his solo modeling debut in a pictorial for GQ Korea. In the accompanying interview, he shared that he initially felt nervous when the shoot began, but grew more confident as the session progressed, ultimately enjoying the experience of expressing himself through fashion. GQ Korea featured Felix in 8 distinct outfits, giving him the chance to showcase his versatility and wide-ranging appeal, from sharp tailoring to bold statement pieces. Throughout the shoot, he wore pieces from high-end brands like Saint Laurent, Dolce & Gabbana, and Celine, further establishing his presence as a rising star in luxury fashion and hinting at even greater opportunities to come. The next month, Felix was featured in Etro's Earthbeat campaign alongside his fellow Dance Racha members. This campaign was a perfect fit for Felix, as it allowed him to highlight both his expanding passion for fashion and his exceptional dance abilities. By combining movement with style, Felix showcased the unique strength he brings to fashion, his ability to communicate emotion and energy through dance. His presence in the campaign was powerful yet graceful,
reflecting his deep connection to performance and growing confidence in fashion. The collaboration further solidified his reputation as someone who can effortlessly bridge the worlds of music, dance, and high fashion. In November, Felix became the first member of Stray Kids to be individually featured on the cover of a magazine. He appeared on the cover of Star One magazine alongside an exclusive pictorial. This marked a significant milestone in his career, further establishing him as a fashion icon. To further promote the issue, Felix also appeared in a short film produced by Star One, where he demonstrated his natural charisma and effortless style. The photo shoot presented a classy, relaxed style that highlighted Felix's versatility, showcasing a more refined and laid-back side of his fashion persona. With each shot, Felix effortlessly blended elegance with a sense of ease, giving fans a glimpse of a different side to him. This feature not only solidified his presence in the fashion world, but also underscored his growing influence as a solo artist, proving that his appeal extends far beyond music and into the world of high fashion. The following year, Felix continued to shine individually, further establishing his presence as a fashion icon outside of Stray Kids. His solo appearances grew more frequent, and he no longer had to rely solely on the group's name to capture attention. Felix was featured in Singles Korea, where he participated in both a pictorial and a film, wearing 7 different outfits. One of these looks featured Felix wearing a skirt, a bold choice that isn't often seen among male idols. This outfit highlighted Felix's unique approach to fashion, showing his love for mixing traditionally masculine and feminine clothing. He enjoys experimenting with different styles, blending items to create a new look in fashion. Felix showcased both masculine looks, like black jeans and a leather jacket, alongside the lesser seen style of the skirt worn over leather pants, emphasizing his ability to create a fresh and innovative approach to fashion. The following month, Stray Kids released their album, Ordinary. In the music video for the title track, Maniac, Felix once again made a bold fashion statement by wearing a skirt over pants. This look further showcased his willingness to experiment with fashion, reinforcing his growing reputation as a trendsetter in the industry and embracing their Maniac concept. Towards the end of the summer, on August 31st, Felix attended Todd's collection event in Seoul alongside his fellow member, Hyunjin. The event celebrated Todd's Fall and Winter 2022 collection and campaign, drawing an impressive guest list that included celebrities like G-Idol's Minnie and actor Lee Dong-hui. Felix's presence at the event helped to highlight his growing status in the fashion world. Just a few days later, on September 5th, Felix and Hyunjin traveled to Paris to attend the YSL Beauty Libre event. Their attendance not only drew media attention, but also reinforced their growing influence within the international fashion and beauty industries. If you've been enjoying hearing about Felix's fashion evolution, I'd really appreciate it if you could subscribe. It's the easiest way to let me know you enjoy what I do, and it's completely free. Thank you! Just a few months later, in 2023, the two of them were featured in Noblesse Men's January issue, where they showcased Versace's new spring and summer collection. The editorial highlighted his ability to carry high fashion with confidence, signaling his arrival as a serious presence in the luxury fashion world. This milestone marked yet another step forward in his evolving career as both an artist and a fashion icon. Additionally, Hyunjin and Felix were featured on Cosmopolitan Korea's January cover, being featured in multiple magazines for the January issues. The following month, Felix appeared on the cover of Beauty Plus magazine, with the photoshoot sponsored by the luxury brand, Kenzo. This marked a major milestone in his fashion journey. It was his first solo cover fully backed by a high-end brand, with Felix as the focal point. 5 years after his fashion debut, this moment reflected just how far he's come. No longer just part of a rising group, Felix had grown into a recognized fashion figure whose presence alone holds marketing power. For brands like Kenzo, featuring Felix wasn't just a style choice, but also a strategic move, recognizing his influence and reach in the global fashion scene. Later in May, Elle Korea featured Felix on their cover, with the photoshoot sponsored by Louis Vuitton. This marked another major step in his fashion journey, being especially notable as Louis Vuitton, like Kenzo, is part of the luxury powerhouse LVMH, which also owns brands like Bulgari and Dior. Just days before the cover release, Felix had attended Louis Vuitton's women's pre-fall show on April 29th, marking his first solo appearance at a fashion show. Attending such a high-profile event on his own, and with Louis Vuitton specifically, signaled that the brand was taking a strong interest in him. What started as a presence in group shoots had now evolved into personal invitations and collaborations with some of the biggest names in fashion. On May 10th, Felix attended the grand opening of Gentle Monster's first store in Japan, the luxury eyewear brand, in which LVMH holds a 7% stake, welcomed Felix as a high-profile guest for the proof of his growing impact in the global fashion scene. Just 10 days later, he also appeared at Levi's 150th anniversary celebration for the iconic 501 jeans. These appearances showed that Felix's influence extended beyond magazine covers and runway shows. His presence alone became a powerful marketing tool, helping brands generate attention and visibility simply by attending their events. Felix wasn't just modeling fashion, he was shaping the conversation around it. Just a few days later, on May 24th, Felix attended Louis Vuitton's Women's Cruise 2024 show in Italy. His invitation as such an exclusive international event further highlighted the relationship between Felix and the brand. It almost seemed as though the brand had more in mind for the idol down the line. Felix reunited with Kenzo for W Korea's digital June cover, embracing a warm, summer-inspired concept that highlighted his versatility in both fashion and mood. Later that month, on June 27th, he attended Bulgari's Serpentine 75 exhibit in Seoul. These back-to-back appearances, representing two major LVMH brands, demonstrated his continued rise as a sought-after figure in the luxury fashion world, effortlessly blending editorial charm with real-world presence. Just over a month later, Felix opened his personal Instagram account, and fittingly, his very first post was dedicated to Louis Vuitton. Within a few weeks, Felix was officially announced as Louis Vuitton's newest house ambassador on August 22nd. Since opening his account, Felix has quickly become the most followed 4th generation K-pop idol on Instagram, amassing over 27 million followers. His rise on the platform, paired with his growing relationship with Louis Vuitton, solidified his status not just as an idol, but as a global fashion icon with real influence. Felix embraced his new role as a house ambassador on October 2nd by attending the brand's Women's Spring and Summer 2024 show in Paris. His presence at the show further cemented his close ties with the fashion house. The momentum continued into November. Felix appeared on W Korea's digital November cover, once again representing Louis Vuitton. Later that month, on November 24th, he also took part in W Korea's 18th annual Love Your W campaign, a meaningful event supporting breast cancer awareness. These appearances showcased not only his fashion influence, but also his commitment to using that platform for larger causes. On November 30th, exactly 100 days after being named a Louis Vuitton house ambassador, Felix attended Pharrell Williams' first pre-fall presentation for the brand in Hong Kong. The very next day, Felix appeared on the cover of GQ Korea. The theme of the photo shoot was centered around chameleons, featuring a vibrant mix of colors, textures, and styles. Felix even posed with a live chameleon, emphasizing the concept's symbolism. Felix could almost be compared to a chameleon, effortlessly shifting between styles and influences, blending them into something uniquely his own. The shoot highlighted his versatility, not only as a fashion figure, but as an artist who constantly redefines his identity. Just a week later, Felix attended GQ Korea's prestigious night party, fully styled in Louis Vuitton from head to toe. GQ Korea understood his influence and just how much of an impact he had left through the year, leading to GQ Korea honoring Felix by naming him their 2023 Man of the Year. In early 2024, Felix appeared on the cover of Vogue Korea's February issue, with the shoot sponsored by Bulgari Perfume, another luxury brand under LVMH. The concept of the photo shoot highlighted two contrasting sides of Felix, his signature blonde look and a rarer, dark-haired version. The duality emphasized his ability to shift between styles effortlessly, further solidifying his reputation as a versatile fashion icon. On March 5th, Felix made his official runway debut at Louis Vuitton's Women's Fall and Winter 2024 show during Paris Fashion Week, a major milestone in his fashion journey. This appearance was especially significant, as it's rare for K-pop idols to walk the runway, with most being featured in pictorials or as front row guests, not as actual runway models. Felix later shared that he was incredibly nervous beforehand, but received kind support from model Jung Ho-yeon, who offered him advice and encouragement on how to handle the moment. Just a month later, Felix continued to make waves in fashion. He was featured on the physical cover of Harper's Bazaar Japan and the digital cover of Harper's Bazaar Korea for their April issues, further cementing his rising status as a global fashion figure. In May, Felix attended Louis Vuitton's Women's Cruise 2025 show on May 23rd in Barcelona, Spain, continuing his strong association with the brand. Additionally, Felix was featured on Vogue's main YouTube channel, where he shared a behind-the-scenes look at his process of preparing for a fashion show. The video offered a glimpse into his routine, showcasing his dedication and the level of preparation that goes into his appearances. Shortly after his appearance on Vogue's YouTube channel, Felix was featured on W Korea's digital June cover, continuing his strong presence in the fashion world. In July, as part of 8's promotion, Felix appeared on Rizabe, a popular Korean makeup channel.
This appearance allowed Felix to showcase his personality and engage with his fans in a more casual, behind-the-scenes setting, expanding his influence beyond just fashion and into the world of beauty and lifestyle. After releasing 8, Stray Kids began their latest world tour, Dominate. Early in the tour, Felix performed his solo track, Unfair, showcasing his individual artistry. He also continued his partnership with Louis Vuitton, wearing the brand's outfits during his performances. Additionally, on September 8th, Felix attended the Tommy Hilfiger Spring and Summer 2025 show during New York Fashion Week, alongside his fellow Dance Roger member, Lino. Their appearance at one of fashion's most high-profile events further emphasized Felix's rising global presence in the fashion scene. Earlier in the year, on May 6th, all the Stray Kids attended the 2024 Met Gala as guests of Tommy Hilfiger. With Felix attending another event of theirs, he's not only furthering his personal connections with the brand, but also the group as a whole. This didn't mean he was abandoning Louis Vuitton though, as he appeared on Elle Korea's November cover, representing the brand again. The following year, on March 10th, Felix returned to the runway for Louis Vuitton's Women's Fall and Winter 2025 show. He wore brown plaid pants paired with a custom-designed sweater created specifically for him by Louis Vuitton's creative director, Nicolas Jesquier. The look perfectly captured Felix's ability to merge classic elegance with modern edge, further elevating his reputation as a muse in high fashion. To highlight the moment, the brand also released a behind-the-scenes video of the show, with Felix featured prominently throughout. His presence and effortless charisma stood out, reinforcing not only his strong relationship with the brand, but the influence of Stray Kids altogether.
Kim Seungmin is best known for his vocal skills, impressing many even before he had debuted. Born on September 22nd, Seungmin grew up loving baseball. His grandfather was initially the one to introduce him to it, which he continued for the majority of his childhood until he was injured and couldn't continue due to family circumstances. Later in middle school, he began wondering what he should do to be happy in life. He speaks of a time in 4th grade when he won a prize in a children's song contest with his choir. He remembered the feeling of performing for people, specifically singing, and enjoying their applause afterwards. With this, he decided to pursue music, leading him to extensively practice singing and continue studying hard to please his parents. A little later, in early 2017, Seungmin attended JYP Entertainment's 13th annual yearly audition, demonstrating the skills he had worked so hard to perfect. His audition was more than successful, placing second out of all the other auditionees. Following his successful audition, he joined JYP Entertainment as a trainee towards the middle of March. He further trained his vocal abilities, as well as worked on his dance skills. 5 months later, on August 22nd, he appeared at JYP's Homecoming Showcase. Seungmin participated in the showcase with 8 other trainees, going by the name Male Project Team. The 9 trainees later appeared in their first music video, Elevator. 11 days later, Seungmin was featured in a reality TV program titled Stray Kids. The name of the show came from the more permanent team name they came up with, that being Stray Kids. The 9 members were tasked with missions in which they had to prepare performances and give them the following week. Stray Kids' first mission was to create their own original song and perform it live for JYP. They presented Elevator, which featured Seungmin singing the intro of the song, as well as the first lines of the pre-chorus. He showcased his vocal range with the intro, showing his ability to sing in a lower, monotone sound. JYP would later praise this skill in the 4th episode. The 9 contestants were tasked with splitting into groups of 3 and performing new songs as those units. Seungmin teamed up with Stray Kids leader, Chan, and Hyunjin, who is currently at risk of elimination. The 3 of them performed their original song, 4419, structured as a ballad that discusses past memories. JYP mentions how Seungmin's part in the beginning of the song feels almost like a conversation, especially praising his use of the middle register. Seungmin was later given the opportunity to debut in the 10th episode, never once being placed at risk of elimination. The following year, he made his debut as Stray Kids with a performance at Jongchung Arena on March 25th, 2018. The day after, on March 26th, Stray Kids released their first album, I Am Not. However, Seungmin's vocals weren't heavily featured in the title track, District 9. The majority of his lines were performed in a rap style. A little less than a month later, Stray Kids was featured in an interview with X-Force News to help fans familiarize themselves with the members. In the interview, Seungmin revealed one of his dreams as a singer. He mentions how he's performed with his seniors before, referring to more experienced groups, and wishes to perform in a place which only Stray Kids fans, who would later be named Stay, are present. A few months later, Seungmin took up the role of MC for Arirang TV's After School Club. What's especially interesting about Seungmin becoming an MC is the fact that After School Club is prominently an English program. As an MC host, he was able to put to use the extensive studying he did earlier in his life, hosting on an English show from July 24th to December 25th, 2018. Around the same time, Stray Kids launched a video series called SKZ Player, which showcased the members' creativity through original songs, dance performances, and covers of existing tracks. Each unit within the group contributed: the rap unit, 3 Racha, the dance unit, Dance Racha, and the vocal unit, Vocal Racha. Seungmin was part of Vocal Racha, along with Woojin and Ian. Together, they performed a vocal cover of Tomorrow Today, a 2017 track by JJ Project, senior artists from their label who later joined GOT7. Vocal Racha credited the song for providing comfort during times when they felt uncertain about their future, giving it a strong purpose for being their first cover. The following year, on February 14th, 2019, Seungmin graduated from Changdam High School, the same high school Bangchan earlier attended. A little over a month later, Stray Kids released Clay One Miro, which featured Miro as its title track. Seungmin's vocal skills are highlighted vastly more than in District 9 a year prior, being featured in the chorus with his fellow Vocal Racha members, Woojin and Ian. Miro was a very successful song for Stray Kids too, landing them their first music show win on April 14th, solidifying both Stray Kids' talents and Seungmin's impressive vocal strengths. Shortly after, Seungmin became an MC again, this time for MBC's English program, We K-Pop. He didn't serve as an MC for very long, hosting from July 12th to October 11th, 2019. He ended his duties to prepare for Stray Kids' first world tour, District 9 Unlocked, with their first show on November 23rd at Olympic Hall in Seoul, South Korea. With this performance, Seungmin began fulfilling his earlier dream to perform for Stay exclusively. There were 2 shows at Olympic Stadium, pulling in 9,321 attendees. A few months later, Stray Kids performed internationally in the United States at Microsoft Theater in Los Angeles, California. Seungmin and Stray Kids gave their largest single-night performance here on February 16th, 2020, with 5,294 attendees. Unfortunately, this ended up being their final show of the tour, being unexpectedly cancelled due to the worldwide lockdown. At the beginning of 2020, Stray Kids released a video with their plans for the year. One of their primary goals was to continue the SKZ Player series. The group began the series shortly after the lockdown, giving both Stay and new listeners comfort in the uncertain time. Initially, this plan was simply for original songs from the members. However, Seungmin suggested the idea of covering songs as well to the company. Seungmin was the one to lead the extended SKZ Players, singing a cover of Gaho's Start on May 4th, 2020. Start is the soundtrack song, coming from the Korean drama Itaewon Class. Later in the month, on May 23rd, Seungmin covered Day 6's track, You Were Beautiful. Seungmin has expressed his love for performing covers, mentioning how they challenge him to improve his vocal skills and capture the essence of the original songs. In a 2022 interview with Paper Magazine, he shared that he started looking for a vocal coach in 2020, likely around the time he worked on his SKZ Player covers. His dedication to learning and growth was evident, not only in his covers, but also in his contributions to Stray Kids as a whole. 3 months after covering You Were Beautiful, Seungmin teamed up with Han, a member of 3 Racha, to showcase their exceptional vocal abilities. The duo performed a cover of Congratulations, another song by Day 6. Han, who is often regarded as an ace or all-rounder in Stray Kids, brought out a sense of friendly competition, with both members pushing each other to deliver impressive vocals throughout the performance. On October 30th, he challenged himself again with a cover, this time to Sandol's song, Stay As You Are. About a month later, he was featured on Kiss the Radio, a radio show hosted by Day 6's Young K. He participated with Lino as fixed guests as part of the Challenge SKZ segment. Seungmin made his first appearance with Lino on November 23rd and participated in the show through December 27th, 2021. As 2021 was beginning, Seungmin released a cover of EXO Baekhyun's song, Love Again, on January 2nd, 2021. He performed another cover at the end of the month, on January 31st, this time accompanied by other singers. He performed Shinhwa's Once in a Lifetime at the Seoul Music Awards, alongside the boys' Hyunjin, IZ*ONE's Eunbi, 80's Jongho, ITZY's Leah, and Oh My Girl's Seunghee. Seungmin released an original song with Changbin on March 25th as part of their 3rd debut anniversary. The duo wrote Piece of a Puzzle with Bangchan, demonstrating Seungmin's writing abilities and collaborative talents. A few months later, on May 7th, he released another cover, this time of Ha Hyun Song's track, 3108. Around the same time, Stray Kids participated in Mnet's reality TV program, Kingdom Legendary War. Stray Kids competed against 5 other groups to be named the Kings of K-Pop. Initially, each group's goal was to fight against each other. However, in the 7th episode, the 6 groups were tasked to group up with each other and create unit teams and continue competing. 80s was given the first choice, selecting to team up with B2B and Stray Kids. The 3 groups came together to make up the team, Mayfly. In the 8th episode, Seungmin's performance with Mayfly's vocal unit, performing with B2B's Eunkwon and 80's Jongho. The 3 members came together to decide what to perform, with Seungmin suggesting performing a cover of soloist IU's song, Love Poem. Eunkwang too had the song in mind, making it an easy decision. Mayfly V gave the performance in the same episode, where fans and new viewers saw Seungmin's voice exceptionally highlighted. His performance even caught the original singer's attention, with IU praising it and recommending that people watch the full performance. With this praise, he solidified one of his original dreams with the covers, that being to capture the essence of the original song. Seungmin's performance also earned him praise from his fellow Stray Kids member, Changbin, who found it deeply moving. Changbin shared that he was especially touched by the effort Seungmin put into preparing for his cover of Love Poem. Watching Seungmin's dedication and passion brought Changbin to tears, not because of the performance itself, but because he was overwhelmed by Seungmin's hard work and commitment to delivering his best. Seungmin's efforts were well received, with all 33 of the judges voting in favor of Mayfly V's performance over their competitors. On September 19th, Seungmin performed a cover of Day 6's song, Zombie, with Bangchan at K-Con Tact High 5. Shortly after, on October 10th, he released his first solo soundtrack song, Here Always, for the Korean drama Hometown Cha-Cha-Cha. This marked a milestone as the first solo OST by any member of Stray Kids. While the group had previously contributed to soundtracks with songs like Top and Hello Stranger, this was the first time a member performed a track entirely on their own. On December 17th, he performed a cover as part of KBS's music festival. Seungmin, along with Kim Woo-sok, Astro's Yoon Sun-ha, and the Boys' Hyunjin performed T-Max's song, Motto Paradise. 10 days later, on December 27th, Lino and Seungmin concluded their Challenge SKZ segment of Kiss the Radio. The following year, on February 9th, Seungmin released his cover of Zombie to YouTube. However, Bangchan was not featured on the cover anymore. Rather, Han took up his parts. Almost a month later, Seungmin was featured on the Lee Moo-jin Service Show, a show that highlights some of the best singers in K-pop. On July 14th, Seungmin released a cover of Justin Bieber's hit song, Ghost. Despite the familiarity many listeners had with the original, Seungmin managed to recapture its charm, making it one of his most popular covers. 3 months later, on October 20th, he released his second solo soundtrack song, Close to You, for the Korean drama Love and Contract. The track, a heartfelt piano ballad, showcases emotional vocal delivery and further solidified his reputation as a talented vocalist. At the end of 2022, Stray Kids released a compilation album titled SKZ Replay. The album features Seungmin's collaboration track, Piece of a Puzzle, and a new solo song, Stars and Raindrops. None of Seungmin's covers were included, rather it compiled the original songs and introduced new ones. Seungmin worked with producer Hyunjin Sung, who had previously worked on several of Day 6's songs like Zombie and You Were Beautiful. Seungmin specifically selected G-Song for this reason, as he wished for the song to have a modern rock feel. As 2023 was beginning, Seungmin released a cover of Yoonha's song, Event Horizon. 2 months later, he released an original song with Changbin and Felix. The three of them came together to create the song, Snain. Shortly after, on May 8th, Seungmin was scheduled to continue his childhood baseball dreams. He was invited to throw the first pitch for the Lot Giants in Busan. However, the game was cancelled due to poor weather. The team still allowed him to throw a pitch, giving him a vision of what else he could have done with his life. His skills were further recognized on May 16th, where he was nominated for Best Artist of K-Drama OST for his song, Close to You, as part of the 2023 Top 10 Awards. Seungmin later appeared on the Korean TV series King of Masked Singer. He appeared in episode 408, airing on June 11th, where he performed Wave. He reappeared in the following episode, where he sang Laundry by Lee Juk, which he was unfortunately eliminated in. The following month, Seungmin was featured on the cover of Days Korea, alongside his fellow vocal Racha member, Ian, and dance Racha member, Lino. The full shoot was sponsored by the luxury brand, Dior, showing that luxury brands were building up trust in Seungmin and his fellow Stray Kids members. The next month, Seungmin released an original song called Hold On, which Bangchan and Han wrote for him. A week later, Seungmin's 2 soundtrack songs, Close to You and Here Always, were moved from the Stray Kids profile to a personal profile under Seungmin's name. This profile would be associated with all of his songs in the future. The year after, Seungmin was featured on Nylon Japan's January 2024 cover. The shoot was sponsored by the luxury fashion brand Coach, with the shoot having a festive feel coming off of Christmas. This appearance marked Seungmin's first solo cover feature, especially highlighting his presence outside of being a well-loved singer. 2 months later, he attended Lowe's Paris Fashion Week Women Fall Winter 2024 show on March 1st. Which too was a first for him. 2024 was starting off really well for him, making his first solo cover appearance in fashion show attendance. 14 days later, on March 15th, he released Phobia, a fan favorite track from the webtoon series I'm the Queen in This Life, 3 days later, Seungmin was given another chance to throw the ceremonial pitch, this time for the exhibition match between Team Korea and the Los Angeles Dodgers at the Gocheok Skydome in Seoul. Towards the end of the month, Stray Kids hosted their 4th annual fan meeting called SKZ's Magic School. On March 31st, the final day of the event, Seungmin and Han debuted a brand new original song titled Respirator. The song would not be released until later in 2024, leading fans to be overwhelmingly excited and curious about the song. A few days later, on April 9th, Seungmin released another soundtrack song, Destiny, for the Korean drama The Midnight Studio. This track added to his growing portfolio of soundtrack contributions, further highlighting his involvement as a vocalist. 2 weeks later, on April 23rd, he attended Chanel's Rogue Allure pop-up store in Seoul, South Korea. Just 3 days later, Seungmin teased his upcoming YouTube series, Songby. The series centers around the theme of covering songs that are close to him and explaining that connection through the video. He began his series on April 28th, where he performed a cover of IU's Love Poem, the same song he covered as Mayfly V in Kingdom Legendary War. In the video, he explains how he views the initial performance as a turning point in his career, where he began receiving recognition as one of Stray Kids' vocalists. With this connection, he believed Love Poem would be a perfect song to begin his Songby series, wishing to recognize its impact. In June, Seungmin was featured on the cover of W Korea's June issue, sponsored by Low. On June 2nd, he released the 2nd episode of his Songby series, where he covered High and Dry by the British rock band Radiohead. During the episode, Seungmin shared how supportive Changbin had been of the series, noting that Changbin was one of the first to watch the episode and even watched the teaser. Seungmin also expressed his appreciation for older rock music, like Radiohead, a passion reflected in his earlier solo track, Stars and Raindrops. Shortly after, Han and Seungmin released Respirator to YouTube on June 4th. The following month, he was featured on Elle Japan's July cover, with the shoot sponsored by luxury jewelry brand Harry Winston. On July 3rd, he attended Chanel's Coco Crush pop-up store in Seoul, South Korea. Seungmin released his 3rd Songby episode on July 7th, being recorded in a green field, a direct contrast to the gray, monotone style of the previous episode. He covers Yosobi's song, Tracing a Dream, which he feels reminds him of his youth. 19 days later, on July 26th, Seungmin was featured on B2B's Eunkwang's YouTube show as part of the promotion for Stray Kids' newest album, 8. The 4th episode of Songby released on August 18th, covering Yoonha's song, Umbrella. Umbrella is a song written by Epic High's Tablo, who was very excited to hear Seungmin wish to cover Umbrella. When it was released, he shared it to his Instagram story, stating that it was beautifully performed. A little over a month later, Seungmin attended Tasaki's 70th anniversary event on September 19th. 3 days later, Seungmin released the 5th episode of Songby on September 22nd, the same day as his birthday. He performed 2 songs in the episode. The first song was a cover of Lau's song, Steal a Show, which was featured in Pixar's 2023 film, Elemental. The second was the performance of his original song, Stars and Raindrops. The 6th episode released nearly 2 months later, coming out slightly longer due to Seungmin being on tour with Stray Kids. Despite this, he wished to release a new episode, even if it was a shorter one. Airing on November 17th, Seungmin performed a cover of 21's song, Missing You. With it being shorter, there wasn't much backstory to the song in the video. However, the emotions behind it can still be felt through his performance skills. As for Seungmin's future, he will be releasing his solo song, As We Are, on December 13th, which he wrote with Hyunjin Song. The song was initially presented on Stray Kids' Dominate World Tour and will now be featured on their special album, Hop. Additionally, Seungmin has not yet wrapped up his Songby series, with many more episodes on their way, even if they don't come nearly as quickly as before.
Jonghyun's vocal skills have shown remarkable growth, highlighting his dedication to improve and become one of Stray Kids' greatest singers. Born on February 8th, 2001, Jonghyun is the youngest member of Stray Kids. As the youngest of the group, he's referred to as the maknae of Stray Kids, a Korean word simply meaning youngest. Age plays a major role in South Korea, where it's customary to speak to those that are older than you with the utmost respect and care for those that are younger than you. These traditions carry over to the K-pop industry, where members not only care for each other, but also care for the maknae and try to help them as much as they can. Jonghyun grew up in Busan, South Korea, where he would later attend his first audition. During middle school, he developed an interest in singing and performing, enjoying the idea of being on stage. When JYP Entertainment announced auditions in Busan, Jonghyun saw it as a chance to gain experience. To his surprise, he passed the first round with the academy calling him around 9:30 p.m., asking him to come back for a final audition. He rushed to perform again, but unfortunately didn't make it through the second round. JYP Entertainment encouraged him to keep practicing and try again when they returned to Busan. Jonghyun didn't take their advice though, where he would continue auditioning with other companies than JYP Entertainment. His auditions were successful for the most part, but he could only ever make it past the first round, getting rejected in the second round of auditions. Eventually, JYP came back to Busan, where he attempted to audition again. However,
However, he followed his pattern of passing the first round and failing the second, yet this time it was different. JYP Entertainment asked him to get a haircut and come back in for a third round, stating that his hair was covering his eyes. This unusual third round was successful, leading Jongin to join the company and begin training to become a K-pop idol around 2016. The following year, Jongin was scheduled to be seen as a contestant at JYP Entertainment in Mnet's new survival show, Stray Kids. Leading up to the show, JYP Entertainment held a homecoming showcase in which a male team, going by Male Project Team, and a female team, Girl Team 2, competed to be JYP Entertainment's next K-pop group. Jongin competed with the Male Project Team with 8 other members. The 9 of them were selected by Park Jin-young, the chief creative officer of JYP. Those same 9 members came together as a more permanent group, Stray Kids. These performances were seen in the first episode of the Stray Kids survival show. JYP tasked Stray Kids with creating their own song and performing it live for him. Stray Kids selected Elevator, which would later be known as Hellevator. Chan, who is both the leader of Stray Kids and a member of the hip-hop group 3RACHA, wrote the melody and lyrics for the track. As a newer songwriter, he accidentally wrote the song too high for the average male singer. Because of this, Jongin only sang 2 lines throughout the whole song. His vocal skills were still being developed at the time, making the already difficult song incredibly hard for him. JYP felt that despite his short line distribution, his part stood out as amateurish and unstable. JYP recommended that he rather stick to shorter lines, like the My Elevator part in the chorus. Because of this, Jongin was placed at risk of elimination along with 2 other members. JYP instructed the members to form 3 groups of 3 for their next performance. Woojin and Jisung chose to team up with Jongin, offering him valuable guidance. Woojin, as a skilled vocalist, and Jisung, known for his strong vocals even as a rapper, worked together to help Jongin improve his singing. The trio performed School Life in the 4th episode, where Jongin experimented with melodic rapping alongside singing. Before presenting their performance to JYP, the group rehearsed in front of Chan. He noticed significant improvement in Jongin's skills thanks to Woojin and Jisung's help. Chan advised them to stay focused during their performance, predicting that JYP should be impressed. Jongin initially struggled with the song, specifically the pre-chorus, which included a very high note that was challenging but crucial to nail. To overcome this, the trio modified the high note into a chant that all 3 of the members performed together, with Woojin and Jisung supporting Jongin on the part. Unfortunately, JYP felt that his performance was still lacking, stating that his melodic rap in the beginning was stuffy. Additionally, he brought up Jongin's dancing skills, mentioning how they felt short and held back. This feedback was certainly discouraging to say the least, but he continued practicing to prove his worth in the next performance. In the 6th and 7th episodes, Stray Kids competed against some of YG Entertainment's trainees, as part of a generational tradition of JYP's trainees battling against YG's trainees. With the pride of JYP Entertainment on the line, Park Jin-young wanted to preview their performances and ensure the quality met his standards. Jongin participated in the vocal team with Woojin, Chan, and Jisung. The 4 of them performed a remixed version of As If It's Your Last by Blackpink, a girl group from YG Entertainment. However, when JYP reviewed their performance, he felt Jongin's vocal skills were still lacking and he just wasn't ready yet. He decided it would be best for both Stray Kids and the company if Jongin didn't participate with the vocal team. Despite his exclusion from the vocal team, he was still allowed to participate with the full group dance team. Jongin's fellow members noticed how much criticism he was receiving and made sure to encourage him as much as they could. Jongin too mentioned how hard it was for him, where he felt he was practicing and performing to the best of his ability, but it was never enough for JYP. Jongin's known for his wide smile and how he's almost always smiling, but he tries to smile to hide that something is weighing him down inside. After their battle with YG, Stray Kids gave a live busking performance in the 8th episode. Jongin continued to practice and delivered a successful performance that night. JYP had sent 2 mystery listeners to evaluate them, including producer Rado, who specifically praised Jongin's singing to JYP. Later, during feedback with the 8 remaining trainees, JYP passed on Rado's positive comments to Jongin. It marked the first time JYP openly praised Jongin on the show, acknowledging his noticeable vocal improvement and growth. Afterwards, Jongin called his mother to let her know he was praised. His mother shared that his aunt felt JYP was being too harsh on him, making the praise feel all the more welcome. Jongin persevered and showcased his talents during the live finale on December 19th, where Stray Kids performed for a live audience in national television. Jongin's performance demonstrated his progress, earning him a spot in the debut lineup. While participating in the survival show, Jongin, at just 16 years old, balanced his training life with high school. He enrolled at Seoul School of Performing Arts, also known as SOPA, the same school attended by his fellow Stray Kids member, Hyunjin, to continue his education while pursuing his dream. The following year, he debuted with Stray Kids at Jongchung Arena on March 25th. With his debut, he changed his stage name to Ian. Despite the heavy criticism, he debuted as a vocalist for Stray Kids. The group released their first album the following day, titled I Am Not. The title track, District 9, was prominently a rap and hip-hop song, leaving Ian with minimal parts in the song. However, Stray Kids released their second album, I Am Who, featuring My Pace as its title track. My Pace displayed his singing skills much more extensively, being highlighted at the beginning of both pre-choruses. On September 2nd, Stray Kids vocalists released a cover of JJ Project's song, Tomorrow, Today. Performing under the name Vocal Racha, the trio showcased their individual vocal talents as well as their cohesive group harmony. Ian played a standout role in the performance, as he was the second singer to open the cover, demonstrating his voice and displaying to fans and new listeners alike why he holds a key position as one of Stray Kids' vocalists. A little over a month later, Stray Kids released their third album and conclusion to the I Am series, I Am You. The title track, I Am You, is a song that especially highlighted Stray Kids' vocal talents. With the song, Ian was able to demonstrate his growing vocal skills in the spotlight of the chorus, proving he has a place in Stray Kids and won't hold back the group. The following year, Stray Kids celebrated their debut anniversary on March 25th by releasing a new album, Clay One Miro. The title track, Miro, too featured Ian in the chorus, letting him highlight the vocals he's worked so hard to improve. A few months later, on June 19th, Stray Kids released Clay 2 Yellow Wood, which didn't feature Ian singing anywhere near as much as before. The title track, Side Effects, was a very experimental track, taking inspiration from rap, hip-hop, EDM, and even rock to become a genre considered Stray Kids genre. Because of this, he only had one dedicated line towards the end. This was not to put his singing down though, as it just wasn't a song fit for his voice. Ian's voice came through even more prominently in later tracks on the album, such as Mixtape Number 1, Mixtape Number 2, and Mixtape Number 4. Mixtape Number 1 follows an EDM pop style, similar to earlier Stray Kids songs, like Awkward Silence and Voices. Ian's voice plays a key role in building tension during the pre-chorus, once again highlighting his vocal abilities. Mixtape Number 2 is a powerful vocal-driven track that emphasizes the voices of all Stray Kids members. This gave Ian the chance to showcase his growth to both those that doubted him and devoted stays, further proving his development as a vocalist. Finally, Mixtape Number 4 revisits the pop EDM style of Mixtape Number 1, but gives Ian a more versatile role, with lines in both the verses and the chorus. Later in the year, on October 27th, one of Ian's fellow Vocal Racha members, Woojin, departed from Stray Kids for personal reasons. This left a significant gap in the group's vocal line, prompting Ian to step up and take on a larger role. The album's title track, Levanter, blends energetic rap verses with a softer, more laid-back bridge that allows Ian to shine. He takes center stage during the bridge, singing entirely on his own, before a brief line from Felix transitions the song back into its dynamic energy. This moment highlighted Ian's vocal growth and ability to handle more prominent parts within the group. In 2020, Bang Ye-dam of YG Entertainment's boy group, Treasure, released his first solo song, Wayo. On May 31st, a teaser for the song featured Ian, where he shared his thoughts of the song, praising it as a simple yet captivating track that listeners could easily sing along to. This wasn't just a random feature, as 3 years earlier, Ian and Ye-dam had competed against each other during Stray Kids' Survival Show. Ian appeared in the teaser alongside notable artists such as soloist John Somi and Blackpink's Rosé. Being invited to not only listen to the song earlier than the general public, but also speak on the song for a teaser is a huge testament to both Ian's rising visibility in the K-pop industry and his importance for it too. A little over a month later, Ian appeared on Favorite Entertainment, a South Korean variety music program. On July 18th, he performed Lee Mi-ja's Camellia Lady, earning 5 out of 6 possible upvotes from the judges, with one judge immediately expressing her admiration for his singing. Following this performance, Ian showcased his versatility by dancing to 2 popular songs, EXO's Love Shot and BTS's Boy With Love. While Ian is often recognized for his vocal skills, this appearance demonstrated his exceptional growth as a dancer, something JYP had once criticized during the Survival Show. By delivering both strong vocals and impressive dance covers, Ian reinforced his positions as a key vocalist in Stray Kids, while also proving the hard work he put into improving his dancing abilities. Later that year, on December 5th, Ian released his first SKZ record, a cover of Jung Sung-hwan's If It Is You. The song, a vocally demanding ballad, once again highlighted Ian's vocal strengths and his ability to convey deep emotion through singing. The following year, on January 16th, 2021, Ian released his first original song, Maknae on Top. It was released as an SKZ player on Stray Kids' YouTube channel, featuring 2 of 3 Racha's members, Bangchan and Changbin. The music video has since become the most watched SKZ player video, amassing over 55 million views. As his first release song, the 2 experienced songwriters helped him with the writing process, as Ian is credited for writing the song as well. A few weeks later, on February 5th, he graduated from SOPA. Shortly after graduating, Ian participated in another TV series with Stray Kids, competing on Mnet's Kingdom Legendary War. The show featured Stray Kids going up against 5 other boy groups, all tasked with delivering their strongest performances to claim the title of Kings of K-pop. The 5th episode, which aired on April 30th, challenged the groups to cover each other's songs and add their own twist. Stray Kids chose to perform their competitor B2B's Prey, a song renowned for its heavy vocal demands. Even B2B expressed their surprise at Stray Kids' bold decision, acknowledging how difficult the song was to execute. Ian was assigned one of the highest notes in the song's finale, an incredibly challenging part that required immense control and practice. He spent the entire standby time rehearsing the note repeatedly. Even as Stray Kids prepared to go on stage, Ian could be seen practicing, fully aware of the importance of that moment in their performance. Unfortunately, during the live performance, Ian wasn't able to hit the note perfectly. Despite his slip-up, he remained professional and gave his all until the very end, completing the performance alongside his members. Once off stage, Ian began to feel disappointed, believing he had let the group down and bombed the performance. However, Bang Chan quickly stepped in to encourage him, not just as Stray Kids' leader, but as his friend. Chan reassured Ian that mistakes are a natural part of performing, sharing that even he made heaps of mistakes during their set. The other members soon joined in, showering Ian with praise for his dedication and hard work. They pointed out how tirelessly he had practiced and admired his ambition, noting that he had rehearsed more than any of them. While the moment tested Ian's confidence, it ultimately highlighted his determination to improve his unwavering commitment to the team, earning him even greater respect from both Stray Kids and Stay. A few days after Kingdom Legendary War concluded, on June 12th, Ian released a cover of Memory of Your Scent by Hugok. This cover served as an opportunity for Ian to reaffirm his abilities as a vocalist and rebuild his confidence after his uncertainty during Kingdom. Ian's emotional delivery and refined vocal control shine through in his cover, showcasing his growth and dedication to honing his craft. To his surprise and delight, the original singer, Hugok, viewed the cover and shared his thoughts. Hugok mentioned how he really enjoyed listening to Ian's rendition, praising the younger artist's performance. Receiving recognition and positive feedback from such a respected vocalist left Ian feeling proud and validated. The acknowledgement not only encouraged him, but also solidified his place as an emerging vocal talent within the K-pop industry, proving to both himself and others that his hard work was paying off. A few months later, Stray Kids released their second full-length album, No Easy. The album featured 14 tracks, including the 12th song, Gone Away, an emotional ballad written by Ian, Han, and Seungmin, as well as producers Armadillo and Gump. The song provided the perfect opportunity for Ian to showcase not only his vocal prowess, but also his growing songwriting expertise. His performance in Gone Away stood out, highlighting the depth of his emotional and technical skill, while the songwriting credits marked a significant milestone in his creative journey. Towards the end of the year, Ian took another step forward in his artistic growth by contributing to the fan-dedicated track, #LoveStay. While the overall sound and feel of the song were crafted by Bang Chan, Hyunjin, and producer Kim Se-mi, the lyrics were collaboratively written by Hyunjin, Felix, and Ian. Although his role was focused on lyric writing, the experience was invaluable for him to further develop his songwriting abilities. The following year, Stray Kids released Ordinary on March 18th, 2022, an album that showcased the group's darker side. Among the standout tracks was Waiting for Us, a melodic piece written by Stray Kids' primary vocalists Bang Chan, Lino, Seungmin, and Ian. The song continued the emotive and heartfelt style seen in Ian's earlier contributions like Gone Away and #LoveStay, allowing him to further shine as a vocalist. 6 months later, on September 20th, Ian released a cover of Kwon Jin-ah's Consolation. The song, known for its lyrics and tender melody, was a perfect match for Ian's vocal tone, showcasing his ability to convey deep emotion through his singing. Shortly after, Stray Kids returned with their album, Maxident, which included a new track from Vocal Racha titled Can't Stop. The duet between Ian and Seungmin explores the feelings of being unable to stop loving someone, tying into the overarching theme of love in the album. Ian's vocals played a crucial role in bringing out the song's heartfelt sincerity, further cementing his place as a key member of Vocal Racha. On October 23rd, Ian expanded his presence in the industry by making a special appearance as an MC for the music show Inkigayo. This opportunity showcased his growing confidence and charisma, demonstrating his versatility beyond just singing and songwriting. The following month, Jongin made his magazine cover debut, gracing the cover of @Star1 Korea magazine for the November issue. This milestone not only marked a significant step in his career, but also highlighted his growing influence in the fashion industry. Over the years, Ian has gained recognition for his keen sense of style and his love for exploring diverse fashion trends. With this cover, he began paving the way for what would become a flourishing journey in the world of fashion, signaling the start of his evolution into a diverse idol admired for his artistic talents and impeccable fashion sense. Towards the end of the year, on December 21st, Stray Kids released a compilation album titled SKZ Replay. The album featured a mix of previously released songs from Stray Kids, including Ian's playful track, Maknae on Top, in Changbin's emotional song, Streetlight. Maknae on Top continued its popularity as the song became the second most streamed track on SKZ Replay, amassing over 30 million streams on Spotify alone. The album's most played song, Deep End, is a brand new solo release. IN also contributed a brand new solo song titled Hug Me, or Ananjugeo in Korean, which translates to I'll Hug You. The song explores a heartfelt and contrasting emotional dynamic where he expresses, "I'll give you a hug, please give me a hug." This duality captures the longing and vulnerability of offering an unconditional love while hoping for reciprocation. With its delicate lyrics and soulful melody, Hug Me allows Ian to shine as a vocalist and songwriter, further solidifying his artistic growth and emotional depth. Leading up to the release of Stray Kids' third full-length album, 5 Star, Ian showcases vocals on the Lee Mujin Service Show on May 30th. This opportunity allowed him to spotlight his refined vocal skills, gaining recognition from new audiences while delighting Stay with his emotional depth and technique. The following month, Ian expanded his presence in the fashion and entertainment industries by appearing on the cover of Days Korea's July issue alongside fellow Vocal Roster member Seungmin and Stray Kids member Lino. Not only did the trio share a special group cover, but Ian also received his own individual cover, highlighting his growing individuality and appeal. The shoot was sponsored by luxury brand Dior, further solidifying Ian's growing status as a fashion icon. Just a few months later, on September 30th, Ian attended his first fashion show, appearing at Alexander McQueen's Paris Fashion Week 2024 Spring and Summer Show. This milestone appearance marked another step in Jonghyun's journey into the fashion world, solidifying his position as a rising figure with both style and influence. 1 month later, he attended Alexander McQueen's Galleria East Boutique reopening in Seoul on November 1st. Later, on December 5th, Ian released a new song to YouTube named Untitled, featuring Hyunjin. Hyunjin even repainted a photo of Ian, with his painting appearing in the video for the song. 1 week later, Ian released a cover of The Little Prince by Rowook on December 12th. 14 days later, he collaborated with Bang Chan to write the original song, Black Hole. Ian attended several fashion shows and occasions in 2024. First, he attended Alexander McQueen's Paris Fashion Week 2024 Fall and Winter Show on March 2nd, 2024. Later in May, he attended Damiani's 100th anniversary high jewelry exhibition on May 23rd. 7 days later, he attended Kith's flagship store opening in Seoul on May 30th. He was featured again on the cover of a magazine, this time for W Korea's June issue, with the shoot sponsored by Alexander McQueen. On June 7th, Ian made a contribution by donating 100 million Korean won to Child Fund Korea, a donation aimed at improving the health and well-being of underprivileged children in South Korea. As a result of this generous gesture, he became the youngest member of the Green Nobel Donors Club at just 23 years old. In July, Ian made an anonymous appearance on King of Masked Singer, a popular Korean TV show. His performances on 2 episodes, where he sang Lee Sung-chol's Live Long Day, Kim Yeon-woo's Love That Common Word, and BOL4's Mermaid, showcased his vocal versatility and surprise talents. These performances further endeared him to fans and added to his impressive achievements in 2024. A few months later, Ian attended Bottega Veneta's Milan Fashion Week 2025 Spring and Summer Show on September 21st. He was seated in the front row of the show alongside big names like the rapper A$AP Rocky and fashion model Kendall Jenner. Just a few days later, he was featured in a pictorial with Vogue Korea on September 24th, sponsored by Bottega Veneta. The following month, he was again featured on Days Korea's cover, this time for their October issue. However, instead of it being sponsored by Dior like last time, Bottega Veneta stepped in to sponsor the shoot. A few months later, Stray Kids released their Hop EP on December 13th. Among its tracks was Hallucination, a solo piece by Ian that he had first showcased during the group's Dominate World Tour. Originally written by Changbin, the song was reimagined by Jonghyun, who reworked its melodies and lyrics to align with his personal style and vocal strengths. The emotional track showed how much Ian has grown as an artist, proving he can make music his own and connect deeply with listeners through his performance. Additionally, Ian is set to be featured as part of Days Korea's January 2025 digital cover. His digital cover was sponsored by Damiani, placing him in their luxury jewelry. Since his struggles in the survival show, Ian has extensively trained his vocals and displayed why he deserves a spot not only in Stray Kids, but also as a fashion icon.
Thanks for watching. Bye 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 bye.